Hello, hello.
Happy December.
Happy December. December is here. It's the period where I feel like it's mainly football. I don't really work a whole lot, or I'm not super productive. I feel like football kind of dominates December. Feels like football month, don't you think?
I think I agree. It's like the ramp up to the playoffs, and then the college game is sort of ending. It's hitting that lull/bowl season, and the games just feel like they matter more. You know what December also is though? I know it's your birthday month, but now I'm
You.
tripping out because I don't know what day it is, and I feel like it might be today, but I'm not sure.
You might be today. Dude, no, I'm kidding. It
Fake
falls
friend.
into that hilarious trope of best friends actually don't know anything about each other, but somehow
We don't know
know all
anything.
there is to know about each other.
You're
Yeah,
December, right?
I am. My birthday is
Okay.
December 27th.
Oh, all right. I thought you were beginning. There's so many December birthdays, including me.
Yeah, lucky me. Well, it's not the best birthday, believe me.
No,
It's
it
too
doesn't
close to
sound like
Christmas.
it. Mine's also kind of close. Not as close as yours though. But
When is
anyway,
yours?
the 19th, which I think
The
is like
19th.
I've grown into it. It's like almost a week away from Christmas, but I don't know. It's a nice pre-Christmas.
You know what you should do for your birthday? You know what I would, if I was you on your birthday?
What?
I would go go watch the Bills play the Lions. They play the Lions at home, December 15th.
You know what?
Make
That
it
would
a
be
Christmas
pretty
gift,
awesome.
right? Dude, I would fucking do
Yeah,
that in a heart.
that's a good idea. The thing is, they're so expensive because they're so good. But
Oh yeah, what are the?
I,
Do you know what the average ticket prices are right now?
I looked at the Thanksgiving game that just happened a while back. This was like this was like September, and so the Bears were still maybe going to be good. And at that point, they were at least like 300 or 400, which is like I don't know. That's kind of average, I guess, for NFL. But maybe they went down a little bit, but I didn't check. I'll look
I
into
think you
that
might
though,
have
because
to, dude,
yeah, I want to
because
watch Josh Allen.
if you don't, your next opportunity would be the Vikings at the Lions January 5th. Because after the Bills go to Detroit, they go at Chicago and then at San Fran.
Yeah,
So that'll round out December.
they'll still be playing too, which I want. I don't want to go week 18. Standing room is
And you
327. Yeah,
327. You could do
yeah.
that.
I could do it. I don't know if I want to do it. I mean, I do want to do it, but do I really want to?
Did you get to see the
Oh,
potential MVP Josh Allen play another potential MVP Jared Goff?
Jared Goff. Oh,
Jared Goff, you heard me right. Yes, sir.
those. I know. I'm well aware. He's having a great season, but they are not. They do not belong in the same tier. Obviously, I'll keep
Fair
you
enough.
posted.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. Thanks for putting that in my head.
Yeah, I feel like Josh Allen took hold of the MVP race, and Lamar Jackson uh, played himself out of it.
Yeah.
So before this pod, one of the things we wanted to do was rank our quarterbacks and then put them out into the universe. I have a confession. When I was making my rankings, I put Lamar as my number one. But then,
Really?
yep, I waited. I was like, it might change. He's playing a good team. They played Philly, right? They lost to Philly. Actually, wasn't that close of a game, right? So they ended up losing, and Lamar just didn't play well. And then I decided, I was like, that was a mistake. I'm gonna move Lamar out of there, and I decided to put Josh Allen ahead of him. The reason I waited is because I thought there was a chance Lamar would prove me wrong, especially considering before their loss, the Ravens lost against the Eagles. The Ravens, and when Lamar Jackson is starting, are 23-1 against all NFC teams.
I think we've had briefly brought up that statistic earlier this year because that sounds familiar.
Yep. And then so they lost, so now they're 23-2 against potentially an NFC conference finalist in the Eagles. So it wasn't just any NFC team. So
yeah, they're really trending in different directions. Those two teams.
Yeah, 5 losses now, dude.
I know. I mean, before that game, I was thinking about that matchup like it was like a heavyweight bout, which I guess it still kind of is, depending on who you talk to. But just record-wise, yeah, the Ravens really aren't in that tier anymore this season. They're really slumping, which kind of sucks. And it snuck up on me because I still consider like Lamar and Harbaugh, I don't know, just serious contenders. You know, they're a serious team.
Yeah,
and I guess it's not a bad loss by any means, but the Eagles were clearly better, which I didn't expect it to be like that obvious. You know.
No, it wasn't. Ravens were really making it difficult for us to figure out what the hell is going to happen to them in the playoffs. Their defense has just been so bad, but their offense has been really good. So before this game, Lamar Jackson was actually the NFL leader. This is including Joe Burrow. He was the NFL leader in passing yards and touchdowns with only 3 interceptions on the year, 27 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And there was a reel, I didn't forward you this reel, but it showed the 3 interceptions of Lamar, and they were tipped balls. They weren't his fault. Hit our receivers in the hands. So yeah, it's been an incredible season.
He has
for Lamar.
Yeah, maybe even better than last year, which is insane.
Yeah, didn't he win the MVP last year?
Yeah, and he was also incredible last year.
Right. So this NFL passing leaders race is very close. Also consider Joe Burrow's only played 12 games and Lamar's played 13. Right. But now it is currently number 1 Joe Burrow, 3,337 yards and 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then Lamar Jackson, 29 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So yeah, it's
Mahomes,
it's been a really
19 touchdowns. Race. Mahomes, 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. GOAT.
Ooh. He's still ranked. He still has odds for winning MVP.
His team just wins, man. Okay, so where are we starting? we could start so many places.
Let's just continue with the AFC North. Okay. Because I think there was a lot of. I thought there was a lot of good games, and there was also a lot of bad games. It was really uneven in quality this weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought the Ravens game was really entertaining, mainly because Eagles are kind of fun to watch.
They are.
It's painful to say this.
Yeah, it's like Saquon, a mix of AJ Brown in there, and some brotherly shoves. But yeah, Saquon's like the most watchable running back in the league right now, clearly. So yeah, and their defense is like awesome, which they weren't in the beginning of the year, I feel like.
God. Did you see that tackle on, you're shaking,
you're
nodding
exactly
your head.
What you're talking about.
There's a great tackle, Cooper DeJean, just picking up Derrick Henry at the line of scrimmage and just body slamming him like it was like he was a rag doll. It was pretty dope.
It was a perfect tackle.
Enjoyable.
It was everything Nick tried to teach the Quidditch team. He would teach tackling, except it was Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Somewhere in the world, Nick felt energy invigorate him.
Right. I didn't even think about that component of it, but yes.
That was great. And of course, Saquon, that rushing attack is just lethal which is funny because it was the number 1 rusher against the number 2 rusher in this game. So you knew there was going to be a lot of epic running styles. And we also had 3 Heisman winners. Henry was one of them. Yeah, man, it was an awesome game, but it was also a disappointing game. Okay, first, before I get into Justin Tucker, I know, that's going to be a tough conversation. I want to make a public announcement. Saquon Barkley, he is having a fantastic season. Don't get me wrong. Will he win the MVP? Now I'm straight up asking you.
Will Saquon win? No.
Does he have a chance?
Am I supposed to say yes? Because I think he has a chance in the sense that he's showing up on odds lists, which I think is well deserved. But in terms of actually winning it, like, I don't think that's a smart bet. So I would say no. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, not at all. My public announcement is, let's not forget when Christian McCaffrey broke the single season record for receptions, yards in a single season. When was it Henry that had 2,000 yards in a season? Like 3 years ago, somebody had 2,000 yards. It was broke records.
That JT?
Oh yeah, maybe it was Jonathan Taylor.
I think it was. Yeah, like 3 years ago. Maybe I'm wrong.
If you're a running back and you can break all the records you want, those players that we just listed, they didn't receive a single MVP vote those years. That's how lopsided it is to quarterbacks. So do not waste your money putting money on running backs to win the MVP. It's never happened and it never will happen. I don't agree with it, but it never will happen.
Fun fact, I personally would have voted McCaffrey for MVP last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was the year he scored a touchdown in every game.
Yeah, basically.
Like 18 straight or something crazy.
Yeah, it was like the safest bet. To the point that I think a lot of sportsbooks just removed it or like made it unprofitable, basically.
I didn't know that. Holy shit. That's crazy. Anyways, I'm trying to help out our listeners that are degenerates like me and decide to make bets. Do not bet on a running back or even, receivers won before, but that's also just as unlikely. It's a quarterback award. So just put your money on Allen, or even honestly, if you want to bet on a long shot, dude, I would consider betting on Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's playing lights out right now. He put on, again, another impressive outing where he gets hurt, comes back into the game. Now, granted, his first pass was nearly a pick six against the Panthers, but they still win the game after coming back from injury. So
I like that. I think, I don't know, it feels late at this point to really be putting too much faith in any like sleepers for this award, because I think right around now is the time when it really comes into focus and it's really just like 2 or 3 guys. Although you're right about Baker, like he's one of the few where he's worthy of being in the discussion. For a while, my sleeper pick would have been Burrow, and I actually did have a little bit of money on Burrow earlier in the season when they were like 1-4 or something, with the idea being that like all they got to do is have a resurgence, the Bengals make the playoffs, and he just has to keep playing the way he is, and then maybe he's a serious candidate, because he is playing insane, Burrow, but obviously that was bad. Bengals are so bad.
We'll get to the Bengals, and I agree with you 100%. It's really sad to see it.
It really is
playing so well.
Oh, yeah.
But let's wrap up this game because we need to talk about our boy. It's a sad story because we talked about it last pod, and I remember how I told you the progress of JT, Justin Tucker, is we're walking him out behind the shed, and he's asking us, "What's going on? Please don't, like,
Just
you don't have to
eyes.
do this.
Just close your eyes. It's going to be okay."
Well, Eddie, I believe we've made it to behind the shed, and we're loading our gun. He is actively losing the Ravens games.
He really is. I don't really know much else there is to say, to be honest. He's missing his kicks. He's got the yips. You can call it whatever you want. He's not a plus kicker right now. And like you said, he's costing the Ravens games, and they're slipping in the playoff race. So
Yeah.
I don't know. If I was Harbaugh, I'd be looking into alternatives, maybe.
He was asked this specifically, and he said he had no plans of moving on from him, which credit to him. You got to be a good coach. You can't say anything negative, especially for a kicker when it's all mental. So there is precedent for this. Kickers fall-offs can be really quick. You remember a guy named Mike Vanderjagt? Kicker for the Colts.
I do not.
He was kicker for the Peyton Manning era.
Okay.
He was the record holder. I remember this, him being the highest career field goal percentage in history, NFL history. Then in the playoffs, he missed a kick. And then he went 2-5 in field goals over 35 yards the very next season. He got released mid-season, and then he never played in the NFL again.
Oh my gosh.
It can happen, and it can happen really quickly. And I'm so scared that that's kind of what we're seeing with Tucker. Yeah. I mean, I think we are.
It might be. I don't know, man. At the end of the day, like, he's a I don't know about Hall of Famer. I'm not sure where the kickers, how many kickers really end up. I mean, I just mean like figuratively, he's one of the best kickers of all time. And this is a real taint on his legacy, no doubt. But
yeah, it is.
Give it some time, and like he'll still be remembered. I would think at least on like the Mount Rushmore of kickers, which is a pretty good career. And the best thing about his career is that he beat A&M, kicked him out of the Big 12. Remember that. So nobody can take that away from us.
Listen, the fact that we're even bringing up the idea of him no longer being in the Hall of Fame, it's unlikely he'll probably go to the Hall of Fame. But the fact that we even entertain the idea, there was a point where he was automatic Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
First ballot. But he's literally playing himself out of first ballot. Potentially played himself out of it because, like you mentioned, this is a legacy tainter.
It really is. Unless they win the Super Bowl and he like kicks a 50-yarder or something at the end, which is extremely unlikely. But yeah, it's a rough season.
There's some good news. Bo Nix has thrown an interception.
It was a funny one too. It was deflected, and it looked like it was about to hit the ground, but it just went straight up. So the Browns secondary had like 10 minutes to settle underneath it, which was nice. That's good for you.
Yes, I have a fantasy matchup with playoff implications where I need Bo Nix to play horribly. There's a player in the league that needs to lose. He has Bo Nix. He needs to lose, and if he loses with Bo Nix playing poorly, then I'll go and make it into the playoffs. So tonight we're not rooting for any injuries, right, Eddie? I know you love to do that. So
don't out me like that.
We're not going to do that. Yeah. Anyways, my luck hasn't been great this weekend. I made 8 bets, and 4 of them were teasers. 1 of them was a straight up bet on the Lions. All 4 of those teasers, I was so confident in the Lions. I included them as my second legs in teasers, and then I also bet on their spread straight up. We're gonna talk about it later, but fuck, I got annihilated with the Lions. If the Lions had won, I would have been undefeated this weekend. I would have gone 8-0. That's how bad that was. And everybody's made money on the Lions this entire season, and of course that's not what happens.
And then you come in.
Fucking ridiculous. We'll get more in depth with that game. Listeners, we have a guest today. He will come on the air later. but we'll talk everything there is to talk about with Chicago Bears, and it's a surprise, I guess. Does it need to be a surprise? Should we just tell them?
I think we can just tell them. I'm not sure what our form looks like these days, but I don't think we've seen the rapid growth we anticipated. JK. Just saying that because I think most people, I would assume, that are listening know who the guest is, right?
Maybe.
Like knows him somewhat personally, or at least knows of him. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, we have a good friend of ours we've known for a while. His name is Taylor K. Tate. Taylor Tate K.
Oh God, I actually forgot his real name was Taylor.
Anyways, we'll talk about the Lions and the Packer and all Bears stuff. But yeah, not in the meantime, not the luckiest. Not my best weekend in terms of luck. Also not the 49ers luckiest weekend either. Do you think the Niners should have played McCaffrey in the first place against the Bills? Good idea.
I mean, when you phrase it like that, that sounds like it's conditional on they've already brought him back, right? So we're talking about their perspective a week ago today. And if that's the case, then yeah, I probably would have played him just because like you already activated him and you're clearly trying to win. And for all we know, maybe it was kind of a fluky injury. Maybe it has nothing to do with his age or his Achilles or anything. I remember I said like one of our first episodes that I felt that there was a good chance that he just didn't play at all this season. And then I think that was like before he even got placed on IR or something. It was before it felt like he was never coming back. And then he did come back. And he seemed okay. I mean, before Buffalo happened.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is I kind of thought maybe they should have just sat him out the whole year. But if they had enough confidence to bring him back, I would think that hopefully their medical staff felt strongly enough that there was low risk. But here we are.
Did you watch any of the Buffalo San Francisco game?
I did. I watched most of it. I saw the injury happen, but it was kind of confusing. I didn't see what was so bad about it. You know, like I get that his knee kind of hit the ground weird, but it seems like that happens all the time.
Yeah, who knows? It was one of those awkward fall injuries that happened. So listeners, first of all, 49ers lose 35-10. They go at Buffalo, and they have one of the more entertaining games to watch. Personally, I enjoy snowy games. They're just fun.
Yeah, they are
football
fun.
And snow, entertaining as hell. That's the kind of game we got. And in the first quarter, second quarter maybe, McCaffrey, he was running well, man. He was really explosive. He was bursting through the line with speed and athleticism. There's a play where he had a 20-yard run. He gets clipped, trips, falls after a 25-yard gain, and he comes up and the camera zooms in on his face, and he's like yelling. And to me, I'm thinking like, oh, he's hype. Like, that was a sick run. He's back, baby. Christian McCaffrey's back. He was actually doing that because he was grimacing because he hurt himself on that play. Something was wrong with his knee. The next play is a halfback toss to the right, wide side of the field. And you see him begin to start running, and then he slides on purpose. He slides because he could feel the injury, and it ended up being a season-ending PCL sprain, which is really bad luck. Is it bad luck? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. What?
Well, I say that because last pod we kind of discussed everybody's dealing with injuries, and the 49ers are obviously have been bitten by the injury bug quite a bit this year. But is that an excuse? Like, is it bad luck?
It is and it isn't. Like you said, I mean, it blows. If I was a Niners fan, I'd be feeling miserable. But you're right. Like, it's the coaches and the front office responsibility to have contingencies. Obviously, they have that, right? They have like backups. Although Jordan Mason also apparently got hurt, and he's also on injured reserve now. But
Oh,
I
no
know,
way.
yeah, they lost both. I didn't even know Mason got hurt until today. I saw that on Reddit.
Oh, wow.
So obviously they have backups, right? I don't mean that literally, but like their whole scheme, Shanahan's entire thing is like he
Yep.
has all these sensational skill players, and one goes down, okay, you got all these other ones. Two goes down, okay, you bring in
Yep.
Jordan Mason. 3, 4 go down, and all of a sudden it's like he's got nothing. It feels like I don't know. My admiration of Kyle Shanahan has really taken a hit this season.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
yeah,
watching that real time too because I've already talked shit about him and these
yeah,
things keep happening,
you
and
you
I'm
pushed
like,
me towards
sorry,
the
Eddie.
edge.
Kyle
I mean, you're
Shanahan.
right. Like, I don't know. I've just seen him destroy defenses so often that I assumed that it would just continue, which is like the wrong thing to do. Also, Debo's continues to play like ass, to be fair. And Ayuk, like early before he got hurt, Ayuk was playing terribly. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It does feel like witchcraft or something. But something is amiss.
it's a lost season. I think. I
Oh yeah.
think their season is over. Technically, they're still in the race. They're in the NFC West. They're cannibalizing themselves in that division. I think the Cardinals have the best chance to come out on top. They have an easier schedule, but the Niners. I'm saying it's a lost season mainly because of just how the season's been going for them. Everything's not been going their way, so it doesn't feel like a season where they're going to succeed and make the playoffs. Um, Kyle Shanahan
Yeah.
already said out loud, he's like, "We're not giving up. Like, yeah, it hasn't been our year, but there's no fight in this team, I think. So I expect them to
Right.
still play out the season, but it's not looking like the season for them to go back. And I feel bad. I feel stupid because, well, I shouldn't feel stupid because I did bet on them to go to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year, but this year ain't it.
No, certainly not. The Madden curse is alive and well. I will say, well, first of all, I agree. Like, even if they were to somehow sneak in the wild card, that they're not doing anything. That their defense is awful. That's what I really came away.
Yeah.
Like that was my main takeaway from last night. Actually, is that they're cooked, and their defense specifically has no hope. But anyway,
Yeah.
I think long term, they're still, I think, like one of the better situations in the league. Not to say that they should like be expecting another Super Bowl run next year, although maybe because they got a young quarterback, and yeah, they have to pay him, so that's not going to be cheap.
Is
But
that happening this season?
I'm actually not sure. I think it is though in the offseason, because this would be going into year 4 next year, right? I would think so. Yeah, they'd be foolish not to, if you ask me.
Yeah.
They got to figure out their receiving room because they already paid Debo. They just paid Ayuk. They extended Jennings, but they also have like a rookie Pearsall, who I think is actually going to be pretty good. I mean, he's like not fantasy relevant at all right now, especially because they suck. But the point being is like they have young talent. They're not, the cupboard is not as dry as you would think for how much they're paying in salary. And hopefully Trent Williams gets back and he's like healthy. So I think elite left tackle, solid quarterback, and then some young talent throughout the roster. That should be enough to where it's like you don't have to blow everything up. But yeah, it's a strong turnaround from how we viewed them earlier this year.
So theoretically, when Christian McCaffrey comes back next year, let's just say they do find all that talent, and then they still hang their hat on McCaffrey, giving them that X factor. He turns 29 next year. So in running back age, we know Henry is the outlier who's 30 years old, but on average, a running back that old, this is going to be on the downside of the hill.
Yeah, for sure.
So not looking good for them, I think. They may have missed
It's not.
the window.
No, they might have, but
When they have to pay Purdy, in my opinion, when they pay Purdy, the window's over.
Really? Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah,
Do you
because
think he's bad?
I don't think he's bad. It's just generally speaking, the formula in the NFL to win is your quarterback is still on a rookie contract and you're able to dish that money out to other valuable resources like the line. So when you have to pay Purdy, there's now less money to go around to defend like the defense, which they desperately need right now.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. That's the other side of the coin. I guess I also was thinking about like eventually McCaffrey will come off the books. Eventually Debo will come off. I'm not sure of like all their contracts really, but I know they're not like 4 years remaining or something crazy, and especially not Debo. And I think
they're definitely going to be thinking about Debo this upcoming season.
Yeah,
both Debo and McCaffrey. McCaffrey is going to be a $23.5 million cap hit next season, so they must consider that. I don't remember what Debo's hit is. I know it's high, but it's going to cross their minds.
All right, this is purely speculative, obviously, but I think Debo is far more likely to get moved one way or another.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just a shame. I agree, but yeah, I don't want it to because I was kind of hoping last night in the game that Debo turned into the Debo that was playing in Green Bay.
Me too.
In the 2020 NFC Championship. That didn't happen, but
he was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just gained too much weight. Although he will probably start getting more backfield looks again now that they're down 2 running backs. We'll see. There are worse situations.
We need to talk about the Bills, man. So the Bills clinched the AFC East with this win. They don't play the Patriots for the first time. They play them twice. They have not played them yet. So no other team in NFL history has clinched their division more than 1 week prior to playing one of their division rivals for the first time. First time this has ever happened. Those are legit. But I think it's going to be a bad thing when they haven't played anybody of quality. No, they're going to go play the Lions. That's going to be a Super Bowl preview, potentially. But after that, momentum is a big thing, I think, in the NFL. And going into the playoffs without momentum, I mean, it's going to be a big deal. Well, there's a lot of time from now until then, but after the Lions, if they don't play anybody, they might get bit by not having played anybody good until the playoffs. And if they run into the Chiefs like that, Chiefs are winning. Chiefs are winning.
We already know that. That's been proven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, you're not joking. I just pulled up their schedule. They haven't played anyone. And the 2 teams they did play, week 4 and 5, at Ravens, at Texans, before the Texans slumped. They lost both of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They beat the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are someone. Yeah, but we already know their deal. If you beat them in the regular season, it doesn't really count. Especially for the Bills. I think
the Bills have, the NFL MVP in my opinion, but it's not going to be enough without playing quality opponents.
To me, it's really just, well, I guess it's not just the Chiefs. That's discrediting some good teams. But from the Bills' perspective specifically, like at least how I feel about them, I have changed my mind from the beginning of the season as far as how serious they are as a contender. Like I always knew they'd be a good team, and I'd be shocked if they had missed the playoffs. But I didn't know they'd be winning like, 14, 15 games potentially. But that doesn't really change much for me as far as like when they run into Mahomes, are they going to beat him? Because it feels like, and to be fair, it's like no one's beating Mahomes. It's not just Josh Allen that's losing to him. But with the Bills, it feels like that rivalry where Mahomes is big brother.
Yeah.
I hope they play each other though. Obviously,
that'd be fun. The Chiefs had a couple significant injuries yesterday or Friday. Referee went down. Looks like it's serious.
Is he going to
Big
be out
loss
for a
the
while?
Chiefs. He's going to be out for a while. There's another referee that went down. I hate to see that.
Dang, they might have to pull up from their practice squad.
Okay, listen, I think, all joking aside, it sucks that referees get hurt. But I think there has been a little bit of overestimation of why the Chiefs are winning these games. People are just pissed that the Chiefs are still good, but I think the things that are happening in the games that are causing a lot of uproar, are supposed to be happening. So let's talk about the Raiders Chiefs Black Friday night football. It was a close game. Chiefs were favored. It went into the game. Chiefs favored by 10.5. The line opened at 13.5. So obviously, sharps are moving the line because I mean, they were right. Like, the Raiders played their ass off. They went into Kansas City, and Aiden O'Connell played his ass off. Game was really close. In fact, the Raiders were only down 2 points. Was it 2 points or a field goal in the last minute of play? They played.
I thought, it was 2 points. They were in position to win it with a field goal.
Okay, so they were in position to win it. And the final drive, Aiden O'Connell had a chance to bring the Raiders close enough for one of the better kickers in the league to kick the game-winning field goal, right? So for more context, the offense is stellar. They have 2 big completions, one of them to Brock Bowers and another one to Jacoby Myers down the middle of the field. They still have their timeouts. They use them appropriately. They got Bowers all the way down to the 30-yard line.
Bowers is insane.
Almost at 31, something like that. So they do. Aiden O'Connell does exactly what he needs to do. So they use a timeout. They get to the line, and for some reason, with the play clock at 7, there's fast clapping. So Aiden O'Connell starts clapping. When a quarterback does that, it indicates to the center, hurry the F up. It's time to snap the ball. Mm-hmm. So the right guard's job is to hear that clapping and then slap the center's ass to say, hey, you're good to snap the ball. So Aiden O'Connell, that's his first mistake.
Don't you love football?
Situation. He starts clapping. Yeah. He shouldn't have done that without seeing that his receivers were not set yet. They waited way too long to make a decision on putting a play in. So with that came the consequence of the receivers, for some reason, were just not set. And Aiden O'Connell makes a mistake of clapping first and then realizing, oh shit, the receivers aren't set. So he's looking around at the receivers, waiting for them to get set on the line. But the guard has already slapped the center's ass. So the center, something Powers, whatever his name is, snaps the ball. O'Connell's not ready for the snap. He snaps the ball. The clock starts running when he snaps the ball. That's key. When the ball is snapped, it hits O'Connell straight in the chest. It's a fumble. Nobody was expecting it, but the Chiefs are the first one to see it. They jump on the ball. They get the ball. At the top of the screen, one of the referees, I think it was one of the line judges, he runs onto the field and starts doing this, waving his hands in the air like he just doesn't care. What does that signal mean to you, right? Stop the clock.
Play's dead.
Play is dead. So that was actually a mistake. So there's a huge uproar, and rightfully so, because the refs confused themselves. In fact, that ref that did that, he thought from the rules before the Belichick era, that was a false start, which makes sense, especially outside of the 2-minute 2-minute time period. It's usually a false start. But in this case, since the clock was stopped before the snap, this particular situation, it needs to be an illegal shift instead of a false start. Now, if the clock was running, it would have been a false start and then a 10-second runoff. But in this situation, the refs got together. They were like, wait, this is what happens. You shouldn't have stopped the clock. That was confusing. I see why you did that, because in the past, that would have been a false start. But since it's under 2 minutes and the clock was stopped previously, the refs, after they got together, they decided this is an illegal shift. And in the rule book, which it didn't used to be like this before Belichick, in the rule book, when there's an illegal shift, that's technically a live ball penalty. So remember how I mentioned that the clock started after he snapped the ball? Mm-hmm. So that means the play continues on a live ball penalty. Therefore, it's a live fumble. That's why the fumble counted. It was the correct call.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm saying.
I know. I actually didn't know all the ins and outs of why, but I really don't believe there's a conspiracy, although my girlfriend would really have you disagree, which is fair. Like your whole point here is
that epitomizes the league, dude. Everybody
the
feels
optics.
that right
now. I know the optics are horrible, so I really don't. I've like the worst part of me is like, oh, maybe they're right, but I really don't believe there's anything there. Now, does the NFL love the Chiefs? Do they want to expose their players that are like selling the most jerseys? Do they want to make money? Obviously, yeah. Obviously, they want to promote the teams that are good and that are going to attract viewers. Doesn't matter if the viewers are cheering against them. They're still watching, and that's all they care about. I don't know, man. I will say I don't like the Chiefs, in part because they're so lucky. The other thing, too, is like some of the players, I don't know which players talked about this from the Chiefs. Yes, they've like gotten super lucky, and sometimes they get some really insane calls. I'll admit that I just can't really make sense of. But also, they have probably the best crowd in the league. Probably the only crowd that I would compare to like a blue blood college football program where noise is like more of a thing, in my opinion, and the environments matter a little bit more. So I think it does kind of make a little bit of sense when all these teams go to Arrowhead and just like fuck up in ways that they've never done before, because it's really a different kind of field from what I understand, or not field, but like stadium.
Yeah. It would be cool to go to a game just to experience it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then go to a Kyle Field game and compare, because imagine
and
playing
take a nap.
Nah. Credit where credit is due. That.
Yeah, they're loud. I know. Actually, I think they're a little bit overrated, but they're still really loud.
So O'Connell should blame the crowd for making his life much more difficult. He needs to blame himself because he did a couple no-nos before the snap. He does need to blame Bill Belichick and the 2009 Patriots. I'm going to tell you a quick story, okay? Mm-hmm. The rules for runoffs and under 2-minute play was completely changed because of Belichick. In a game against the Jets, they hate the Jets. That's important context. The Patriots were leading 33-0 in the fourth quarter. It was a Monday night game. They took a delay of game penalty with their punt team on the field. That's typical for the punt team to do that, to create more space. They're around midfield, right? So they wanted more space for their punter to cough in the corner, kick it. After so the Jets knew that, so they declined the penalty. The clock started again. So the Patriots punt team purposely waited until they were about to get another delay game, but they knew that wouldn't have counted in the rules. So they decided to do a false start. So Belichick told one of the linemen to purposely false start. So that's what happens. The Jets then decline that false start penalty too, but the clock continues to run. So what happens is when the Patriots I'll just read this. When the Patriots' third down play ended, there was 11 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. By the time the Patriots actually punted on fourth down, there was 9 minutes and 43 seconds remaining. So they managed to run off an extra minute and 22 seconds. And there's literally a snap. You might remember this. There was a picture of a frame of Bill Belichick smiling because he knew exactly what he was doing. And he admitted that in an interview. He said, this is a loophole that we exposed. It probably shouldn't be in the NFL rulebook. And then literally the next season, the rulebook, that entire section was changed to account for a lot of these loopholes. Another loophole that affected the situation that the Chiefs and Raiders were in were spiking the ball scenarios. So teams were taking advantage of the fact that you could run up, let's say it's a 2-minute scenario, and you knew that since the clock was running beforehand, the rules were written so that if the clock is running and you spike it and there's an egregious illegal shift and nobody's on the line, you would get an illegal shift penalty, and then you would get assessed a 5-yard penalty and a 10-second runoff. That would actually, in some scenarios, be faster than waiting for your team to run up and spike the ball and get set. That could take 12 seconds, but some teams were taking advantage of it and going to the line, spiking it faster than 12 seconds. The 10-second runoff happens, and they're actually gaining time. So that's another scenario that was rewritten after that 2009 situation, and it makes a direct effect. So they change it from an illegal shift to if the clock is running, in that situation you convert it to a false start, and then there's a 10-second runoff, but also the illegal shift would no longer be the case. It would be transferred to a false start, and the clock would, I think it's runs off longer. Actually, I'm not sure about that. Point is, the Patriots should be blamed for a lot of what happens in that night. And I think it's hilarious that Belichick still smiles on and it affects a game like that.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about teams I don't like? Chiefs are great compared to the Patriots, if you ask me. But credit to Bill. I mean, he's right, or he was right. You know, it's like he's within the rule book, and I would argue he's like improved the game by exposing it. Right?
Wow.
That's funny though. I appreciate that history.
How about some more history?
Let's do it.
It is a statistical fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are the worst 11-1 team in NFL history. They have a 54-point differential, which is the lowest point differential for any team that has ever started a season 11-1.
Yeah, I think I heard that one. It makes perfect sense watching them.
They've had 14 games in a row and the final game score was 1 possession. 7 of them came down to game-winning plays this season. 7 of them came down to game-winning plays. So 7 of the 11 wins for the Chiefs came down to the final play of the game.
Meaning as time expires?
Yep.
Dang, that is a stat. That's kind of insane.
Yeah, man. The Chiefs, they've got to be high up in the luck rankings right now. This is another reason why I don't want to face them. There's no sign of that luck running out. I do not want to see them in the playoffs.
Well, it has to run out eventually.
You think so? Yeah.
I know so. I would still bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl for sure, but I don't know. Eventually they'll lose, even if it's next year or in 5 years, right? Right?
All right. One more stat that has nothing to do with the Chiefs. This is crazy. I think this is wild. Max Crosby has played every Raiders defensive snap for the 6 straight games, 67 snaps this game, extending his streak to 387 consecutive snaps, the longest by any defensive lineman in the NGS era. I actually don't know what that means. Crosby owns 3 of the 4 longest streaks by defensive linemen since 2016. Just think about the significance of something like that and the kind of player, the position he plays, right? Like, that's fucking wild.
That dude's awesome. I didn't know he was
really
that
fun to
old.
watch, dude.
Yeah, he's so cool too. He's like top 10 most likable players without really thinking about it.
Yeah, he is. Isn't he? I think he's sober, right? That's another cool thing about him.
Oh, is he? I don't know. I don't know much about him. I've just seen him on a few of those like mic'd up videos, and he always has funny things to say. He talks shit without being like gross or stupid, you know.
And you might like this, but Mahomes hates him because he.
Wait, does he?
Yeah, he chirped about Crosby on the QB show, quarterback.
Of course he did.
Because he was just like annoyed by Crosby constantly touching him. Like after every play, Crosby made it a point to
caress him.
After the play was over, he'd just come up over and just hit him on the shoulder, just give him some sort of contact. And Mahomes, it got under Mahomes' skin in the show.
Well, that's another reason to not like Patrick if you need any more. No, Crosby's great. He's hilarious. I'd recommend listening to his mic'd up moments. Or just watch him play football. He's pretty good at that too.
If you watch him play football, you'll gain an appreciation for the snap streak he has continued. Because, dude, he's a 260-pound player running sprints every defensive play for a bad team. So his defense is on the field all the time.
You can tell he's having some of the most fun you've ever seen playing this game. And that's why he wants to just stay out there. And like you said, this is a position where it's not just normal, it's expected that you rotate in and out. Like if you're a starter, I don't know, you play maybe like 70% of snaps. I think that's even on the high end. So yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't know of any other edge players like that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's move on. Another game. Let's talk about your dumb team.
All right. I don't have that
much. Thanksgiving games, it's common for the favorites to win. They were favored by 4 points against the Giants in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say that the total was 37.5 points. That's really low. Really, really low.
Yeah. Below 40 is low.
Yeah. So the Cowboys win by 6, 27-21 or 27-20. They cover.
I think it was by 7. Doesn't matter.
No. But the Cowboys seemingly look better. All right. So I'm bringing this up. Guess what the line is for Cowboys at home next week? They're at home against the Bengals. What do you think
on Monday night?
Yeah. Bengals just lost to the Steelers.
Yeah. Well, I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to Vegas, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and say Cincinnati by 1.
1? Yo, okay, when I first tried to guess this line,
it's hard, actually.
I was like 2.5. Bengals defense is one of the worst ever.
Yeah.
Right? The line is 6.5.
For Cincinnati? What?
Yeah.
Well,
that's wild.
Yeah, that's big. But I don't really
amount of disrespect to Dallas, dude.
I think it's more that they respect that offense that the Bengals have in Joe Burrow. And I just said the Bengals suck. They do suck, but it's really just one side that's ruining their season, that being the defense. And in a way, the Cowboys are the perfect matchup for them because we're having Cooper Rush trot out there and Rico Dowdle. Actually, he looked pretty good lately, but it's a bad offense, obviously.
Yeah.
And a terrible defense. So I think Cincinnati should have their way. Although it's Monday night, I don't know. The Cowboys, like you said, they're really weird, and they're not playing like they're done. In terms of the effort they're giving.
Yeah.
And that's worth something, I guess. So we'll see. I think I'm going to be cheering for the Bengals. Not going to lie.
Whoa,
for
dude,
fantasy reasons.
Dude, that's gonna be. Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. In a game like that, Monday Night Football, dude, that would make you a Bengals fan. I mean, that's like every
Maybe
opportunity
you're
to root for your team.
Maybe I should just make the transition. Just fully commit one bad team to another. Nah, I don't
make an
think so.
announcement publicly.
Post on Instagram.
Guys, I am now a Bengals fan. Sorry, Cowboys fans, but the time has come.
Good vibes only.
You're right, dude. There's not a whole lot to discuss about the Cowboys. It's to discuss about the Cowboys. It's a lost season.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. I think it's more fun to talk about the Bengals. So Joe Burrow, he's projected to finish this season with 4,727 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And the Bengals are projected to finish 5-12.
It's unbelievable. I'm actually kind of mad about the Bengals season. It is crazy. There's I've seen so many stats already about this season for Cincinnati. I'm just like, how much of a simp I am for Joe. And this unironically is like his best year, which is saying a lot because he's had incredible years. And I think he's at like the peak of his powers, but no one can really see it. No one cares. And it's fair. Like no one wants to watch a losing team. But I think at this point they're just playing for, I guess, pride or money. And I'm interested to see how long they wait until they fire Zach Taylor because he's gone. I'm pretty confident at this point. Dude's lost. And the fact that they still have their same defensive coordinator is also kind of a travesty.
I know, that's shocking at this point.
Yeah. Well, I know that they love him. His name is Anarumo. And when they made that Super Bowl run a few years ago, he was like being talked about as one of the better head coaching candidates, and he never left. I'm not sure why, but he's beloved at least by like the organization. Probably not the fans anymore, I would think. But also their roster kind of sucks outside of like their obvious stars. They have a great quarterback, great receiver, great edge rusher, and that's like a great foundation, but then it's surprisingly bare after that. So I would say they're in worse shape than like
bad dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would think that they wouldn't have great. Well, they don't have a stacked defensive roster, but this is in fact true. Trey Hendrickson, going into this game, was the NFL leader in sacks.
Yep. You would never guess.
Now, he was stifled in this game. But that's kind of crazy to hear since the Bengals are historically one of the worst defenses in their franchise history. You just gave an old Russell Wilson a career high in passing yards in the first half. Who would have thought? He finished the game with 414 passing yards. Russell Wilson.
He looked like peak Seattle Russ. It was crazy.
Dude, he was great. I also feel like he's pretty mobile.
Yeah, he does look better this year, to be fair. The Bengals made him look good, but he looks so much better than he did in Denver, which is funny. Because Bo Nix also looks a lot better than he did. So I guess they just needed a change of scenery, like they always say. I don't know. Sometimes it works like that.
Yeah. Pittsburgh is now in line to win that division. There's no doubt in my mind they're winning that division. And I personally wouldn't want to face them. Their defense is playing well enough. And when we talked about this already, but with Russell Wilson playing this well, they're going to be a tough out.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Pickens finally got publicly reprimanded by his coach. Finally.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't even.
He said that
it wasn't
grow
even
up or something.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too crazy. He just told him, the reporter, like, he's got to grow up. Obviously.
That dude, child. He said he wasn't going to get fined. Somebody said he wasn't going to get talk after the media, so he wouldn't get fined. And then at the end of the game, he punts the ball into the crowd, which became a fine. So dumb. The kid's a child.
He's the worst. Of all the things he's done, that was like, I thought that's kind of okay in my book. I guess it's dangerous, maybe, if the ball's falling. I guess that's why it's bad, but I don't know. I think punting stuff is really funny. I'll take that over him, like, complaining. Okay, you're always the one giving stats. I'll give you one here for the Bengals. So they've now set the record, the Bengals have, for most losses in a single season when they score 33 points or more. So they've played 6 of those games this season. They've scored 33 points. They're 2-4 in those games.
Wow.
The rest of the league,
that's wild.
This is where it gets crazy. The rest of the league is 51-1.
Holy shit.
So the Bengals suck.
Oh, dude, that's wild.
Yeah.
That is a crazy stat. I love that stat.
Me too.
Good for you to still stick by your guy.
Yes, sir. Hey, he's been amazing. You know he has.
Yeah, he has.
I'm excited to get to our QB rankings. Yeah.
You know what? It's probably fun. Oh, you know what? Let's get into that right now, because after that we'll bring Tate on. So we made a list of QB rankings, and I did mine. I don't know how you did yours. I did mine in a tier system because it's really tough to split hairs and rank these guys. So each of my tiers are unranked, but the tiers are ranked.
I like that.
You know what? I'll start.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go.
No, go for it. I'm going to add tiers to mine while you're saying yours.
Okay.
But I'm listening.
All right. So do you think I should start with the bottom tier or the top tier?
Bottom tier. But do what you want.
Bottom tier. Okay, fine. Tier F. I put Anthony Richardson and the Mayo Man.
Wow.
I think Richardson's terrible. He's basically a running back that struggles to play quarterback. All right. Next tier, tier 5. Jameis Winston, Drake May, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence. Rip Trevor Lawrence. Tier 4, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Caleb Williams.
Okay.
Again, no specific ranking in that tier. Tier 3, a lot of players playing at the same level. Jordan Love, Darnold, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Stroud, Tua, Matthew Stafford, Geno Smith, Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray, Bo Nix.
Okay.
Tier 2, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield. I think they are separated from that tier 3, but they're not as good as tier 1. Tier 1, Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. And then S tier, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow.
Wow. Okay, now I'm a little surprised and confused because I thought you said earlier that you had Lamar number 1 before you changed him out for Allen. So he didn't make the elite tier with Allen?
No, because I felt like he has again shown that he can't play in the big game, so that's got to drop you a tier, no matter how good his stats are.
All right, that's fair. I'm okay with that criteria, and I don't necessarily disagree. I'm just a little surprised.
Any other notes on my list before we go to yours?
Uh, the bottom stuff I don't really care that much about. Also,
but what about Rogers being in tier 4?
I thought you had Rodgers too high. Actually,
Yeah,
I have him in the lowest
That's
tier.
funny. That's funny, dude. You're
Uh,
not wrong. I think I'm having a hard time biting that bullet with Aaron Rodgers because I still think he looks fantastic. He's just not playing very well.
okay.
Athletically, I think he looks the same, but for
Uh,
whatever reason, he's throwing bad. He's making bad decisions.
I think his arm looks live. I don't think he looks the same. Like his arm is. I think his arm is still NFL caliber material. I don't think the rest of his body is, but I don't know. He's. I also kind of dock him a little bit for his off the field uh, persona because I do think that matters. Like unironically, even though it's a joke and it is funny,
Yeah.
I think it is a distraction. Okay. One last note. Although I guess I'm going to tell you mine here in a second. Once you got higher towards like the top of the list, our list became like they converged basically, which is not a surprise. But I have uh I have Baker in a tier below Herbert, and I have Herbert in his own tier. But I did consider like I was struggling with where to put Baker because
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, but I'll talk about it more. But pretty good list.
All right, you go.
Okay, so first of all, for some reason I thought we were just doing our top tens, but that's my fault. I should have clarified. So
I mean, you don't have to do the bottom. You're right. The bottom, who cares?
yeah, I was scrambling to put him, but you're right. But I did have like a just missed or like an honorable mention, which was effectively like the middle class of quarterbacks. So on
Yeah.
there, I have pretty similar to what you had, so in no order. Tua, Darnold, Geno, Love, Nix, Stafford, and Kyler. And I really struggled specifically with those last three: Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and Bo Nix, because I think each of them has like a really unique ability that not a lot of quarterbacks do. Obviously, they're all different, but when they're on their game, they can they can win you a game.
Yeah.
Especially Kyler and Stafford. I think Nick's I still have some reservations on, even though he's playing really good. Also, he's just like he's a rookie. Uh so out of my actual top 10, I do have one rookie at number 10. That's Jaden Daniels. He's
Yeah.
done enough, I think, more than enough to show he's arrived. Is he going to be an MVP at some point? I don't know. Don't ask me that, but maybe. But he's damn good. That's what we know. At number 9, I have Jalen Hurts, who I really struggle with him. I mean, really, I struggle with all of the quarterbacks because the thing is, like
This is a
in
tough
the NFL,
exercise.
it is because it feels like sometimes there are weeks where every quarterback sucks, and it's hard to list like 6 guys who you would like to have, and then there are weeks where everyone's playing lights out, and it's like, oh wow, this is a deep league we have with so much talent, you know. So it oscillates, but with Hurts, he's like a perfect example because he can make any throw and he can beat you with his legs, and he's so big and like he's a perfect fit for that offense in Philly.
Yeah.
But he's capable of just bonehead mistakes, and he also just randomly misses guys when they're wide open. So it's really hard to make sense of him.
Yeah.
Uh, sorry, that was a long rant. But so at number 8, I got C.J. Stroud. Kind of the same vibe
Oh.
with him. Yeah, but I think we've swung too hard maybe on Stroud. He's really struggled this year for sure.
Yeah.
And like I've said on here that I've seen him miss some wide open guys, like I just said about Hurts. The difference I think is like, first of all, he's in his second year, so I give him a little bit more leeway, and also he when he's on his game, I feel like he has a command of his offense in a way that maybe like 3 or 4 other guys do. You know, he has that sort of hard to define ability to sort of like lock in, get in the zone, and it feels like he's just going to beat you if he gets the ball. You know what kind of like vibe I'm going for?
Yeah. Yeah.
It like
I'm picking up what you're
that
putting down.
yeah, that visceral feeling of, oh no, we gave the ball back to him, we're dead. I think he
Yeah.
has that in him where I don't really think some other guys around him do. But yeah, he's still got a ways to go for sure. So just ahead of Stroud, I have Baker, which I really hate. I'm not a fan of Baker, but his play merits a ranking like this. He's definitely top 10.
Yeah, he does. It's well
Yeah.
deserved. That
Well
I'm sorry you
deserved.
had to do that.
I know, I am too. He's such a public hater of UT, which makes sense, but he can play. Credit to him. And then I have Goff at number 6, which is like the top of my tier 3. I don't want to talk too much there. Goff's good. He's improved his game this year. Yeah. And then tier 2, I just have Justin Herbert. No one else. And I always kind of thought Herbert belonged near the top. He doesn't belong in the S tier. He's got to like do some stuff in the playoffs, right? But
yes, he does.
talent-wise, he's got everything you want. Okay. Tier 1, the S tier. In order, I have number 4, Lamar. Number 3, Josh Allen. 2, I have Burrow. 1, I have Mahomes. Unfortunately,
Holy shit!
I can't put anyone but Mahomes, dude. I just can't do it.
Wow.
I want to put Burrow. You know, my heart wants to put Burrow.
I'm actually shocked to hear this. The force is obviously strong with Mahomes, but damn.
Yeah, it is. He's a Jedi. We have not yet granted the rank of Jedi to Justin Herbert, but he is on the council.
I really thought you were going to put Burrow. This is the biggest surprise to me. I thought you were going to put Burrow number 1. He's playing. He's definitely playing like it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Statistically, he is number 1 right now. But I mean, I ranked it beyond just this season, right? I tried to take a holistic approach. So,
I see.
So I did factor
approach.
this season more, but for Mahomes, I don't know. I can't do it. He's number 1.
Damn, that's crazy. Man, maybe we revisit this after the playoffs or going into the Super Bowl.
Maybe.
I know next week, dude, we got to revisit our running back rankings because we made some mistakes. I know I did.
Well, things have changed.
Yeah.
Hey, remember when you ranked Deontay Johnson as a top 10 receiver?
Dude, I was waiting for the day for you to bring that up. I'm standing by that because he played his ass off. So it's weird that he's on the Ravens right now and has been getting like a target a game.
I'm not sure he even got into the game, actually. But I
Wow.
don't think that's because of his ability. I think there's some stuff going on there that we just don't know about. Sorry.
What a wild pool, but I appreciate
he was playing
it.
great when we did that exercise for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. It's time let's bring on our guest. I'll take a break for our sponsors. So we have our guest on. Welcome, Tate.
What's up, y'all?
What's up, Tater Tot?
Hey, Eddie. How are you, bud?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm hanging in there. Long time no see. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, you look good. You too, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
That smile is always killer.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just the lighting in my room's kind of giving me a good shadow effect. That's all.
That damn smile.
Do people still call you Taylor Tot up there?
Tater Tot?
Yeah.
I'm a broken record on this. Like anytime anyone hears my name, they'll eventually come to that conclusion of like, oh, Tater Tot. They'll like word association it. And they ask me, like, can I call you that or do you get called that? And I say the same thing every time. Like, you can, I don't care. And no one follows through. They're like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then they never do. Eddie's probably the one that, one of the few
I was
that
going to
actually
say,
do.
I always called you that.
Yeah, no. Eddie's always followed through on that. Very few people have.
They're missing out. It's a great nickname.
Yeah, I feel like it suits your vibe as well in a good way.
I hope so.
Yeah.
What vibe does Tater Tot give?
Crispy, salty.
Salty. I don't know.
Well,
Casual.
Tate, I appreciate you coming on. It's we thought of you because, well, the Bears are having a season to remember, and you're the biggest Bears fan we know. So we thought
they're
about
having a
that.
season. I wouldn't say it's one to remember. Or at least I think they're having a season. I'm not entirely sure. But
Hey,
yes,
this is
no. I am a big Bears fan. Certainly not the season I think anyone was hoping for or expecting.
You know why I'm never going to forget this season for the Bears? Because this is the only time the Bears have replaced their head coach mid-season since 1942, which was George Halas, who also owned the team, and he left after 5 games when he went to
The
be
coach owned
in
the
the
team.
Navy. Yeah.
What the? Okay, that's like the
So it was
most
a special
1940s.
circumstance for the mid-season thing, but it goes to show that the Bears never do this.
That's a good employer. Wow.
Yeah, no, that is. I think that's the one thing that everyone was, at least in circles online, I think everyone was worried about was like very clearly like two weeks ago, like what was like the blocked field goal game. I think
What a
it was
rough 4
that,
weeks.
or like there's so many bad scenarios that have been over the last couple of weeks, but it's been very clear that like he needs to go because it's like to a detriment to the team, like very clearly. If you've like heard the story about like Jalen Johnson,
Yeah.
like he
Wait,
needed to
what
go.
was that story?
He essentially like after the game just essentially like cut Flus off and was just like ranted for about like a good 15 minutes. And I think the quote was like he was crazy and yelling a lot. So like it was very clear he needed to go, but given the Bears history, they don't ever do this. So I know that was a worry of my like for me, just because like Caleb doesn't. I'd rather Caleb be in chaos of like just like transitional people that aren't going to stick around than like stick with this one guy that is like very clearly losing them games and screwing himself over. Like he does. You don't need a quarterback that's resentful, as you very clearly see across the league in certain franchises how bad it goes.
What do you
In case
what do you
you
saying on
don't-
Caleb? Sorry to cut you off, Simon.
Go ahead.
I really wanted to ask you about Caleb because in my view, like the Bears have been obviously very disappointing, but I think Caleb's looked quite good like this last month or so. So I don't know how you feel. I don't know. Do you have any reservations about missing out on like Daniels or something?
I definitely do. I mean, like I've had that ever since Trubisky. So like
Yeah.
every year a good quarterback
Pro
is
Bowler
gone.
Mitch Trubisky?
Huh?
You mean Pro Bowler Mitch Trubisky?
Very Pro Bowler, gonna win a Super Bowl with the Bills potentially this year, Trubisky. No, like I've had that kind of like buyer's remorse every year that a good quarterback is gone. Where I stand, like it's very clear he's good. There's like definitely things that like a good coach needs to get out of him and get him to see, but it's like very clear he's good. He's very Mahomesian-esque, everyone loves. He's essentially just athletic and can kind of throw on the run and throw sidearm. It's like not necessarily one to Mahomes, but he's very good. It's tough to assess just with a coaching staff. I'm
Yeah.
excited for him, but you need a coach that's very clearly going to click with him and support him and understand him. Which is like why I was so pissed that the Bears didn't fire Eberflus this past offseason, because you have a coach who is flourishing with a quarterback who was like already pretty good in Justin Herbert, but now like is an like a legitimate MVP candidate this time of year. Everyone talks about him in like week 5 as an MVP, but like it's now what week, like 12, 13, we're getting in there.
13.
Yeah, year.
And he's very clearly an MVP candidate. So like, and Jim Harbaugh played with the franchise, like is up in that area. The Big Ten commissioner that is now our president, Kevin Warren, connection with Harbaugh. So like, I think Caleb is good, but I think like a lot of these quarterbacks, and you see a lot of resurgence in quarterbacks, and like Sam Darnold, Bryce Young all of a sudden kind of coming back, Kirk Cousins in a different spot. Like, need coaching staffs that like support and believe and like will give them a vision rather than, you know, trying to put a square in a circle hole, you know.
Yeah, it does feel like that's been the case, a square in a circle hole. This now marks the third consecutive time over the past 10 years that the Bears have drafted a quarterback in the first round to only fire their head coach later this season, after the season.
Yep, I saw that graphic. It was John Fox with Trubisky, Nagy with Fields, and then now Flus with Caleb Williams.
Oh, the
There
beard.
it is.
I was a fan of the beard. 2024 on Everflus.
Oh, beard ever?
Yeah.
Eberflus.
I just made a stupid big deal out of it because I watched Hard Knocks.
You know, it's tough because like when you watch those shows, like they humanize all of these guys. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember, if you
It's
remember
brutal, that.
the Chargers, their rookie the rookie year with Justin Herbert, and that head coach, I'm blanking on his name.
I know who you're talking. Staley?
Not Staley.
No,
The
Oh,
guy
before
before
him.
Staley.
he's the guy who was terrible at clock management.
Yeah, it was so
Staley.
bad.
I'm just kidding.
No, I mean Staley too. Oh gosh, here, wait, let me see if I could quick Google it. Anyway, but like on that year, like he's a horrible coach. Everyone knows at this point, like he's terrible with the clock management. He's done it year after year. But then you like see him on the show and he's like the greatest dude ever. He's like grilling for like the team. And it's like it's
Okay.
terrible watching those shows and like getting connected. That's why, and like I was already out on Eberflus, so like I didn't, you know, I wasn't going to connect with him all that much.
You mean like from last season?
He should have been fired. I mean, like
I don't disagree.
it's just like if you're gonna, they knew from the end of the season that they're gonna draft a quarterback. Why do the same song and dance? And then they also brought in Shane Waldron, who, if I'm not mistaken, was with the Chargers. Right?
Oh, that was way worse.
With the Chargers. And what has been the Chargers like problem the last couple of years? Not their defense. Their defense has been pretty decent. Wait, with Staley, is their offense. Their offense has been shit.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like it's like the Jets bringing in what's his fucking name from the Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's bring in him. That's just let's listen to Rodgers. Like at some like boneheaded moves. Say like.
So what's their next boneheaded move? Do they bring in Belichick?
Hiring Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame, or giving Thomas Brown a legitimate shot, who's like the OC, which are two of the names. I mean, Marcus
Freeman
Freeman,
right now.
huh?
Is he the OC interim head coach, Thomas Brown?
Yeah. Don't know much about him, but like don't know much about him, but he's not a Ben Johnson. He's not the Detroit Lions D coordinator. He's not like a Vic Fangio. He's not like these big name guys that like we need.
Who would you want as your personal top choice?
I mean, I really wish it was Harbaugh, just because like Caleb Williams is weird, and like Harbaugh
Is weird.
He's from California, or I think he's from California, or at least he spent a lot of time. He's out there now. Like he understands that.
Harbaugh
I mean,
is definitely weird, by the way.
Yeah.
He says some weird ass things.
Yes.
I shouldn't say the Marcus Freeman, because like Notre Dame is good. I like him as a leader, but
I think that'd be a bad hire, personally.
that would be a leadership hire. He would need like significant coordinators, and he's only done that. This is like year 2 or 3 at Notre Dame as the head coach.
Right, he's so young.
Yeah, that would be like a Cliff Kingsbury kind of hire, or like trying to get Lincoln Riley, who's also showing he's clear not ready for the NFL. I mean, Ben Johnson's the immediate one that comes to mind, just with what he's doing with Detroit. And that's,
I think that
like,
makes a lot of sense.
it's just the blueprint.
Would they do in division like that?
I mean, like
It's a head coaching position. I don't know.
Ben's gonna choose whichever situation feels the most comfortable for him. He's gonna be the most sought after.
Yeah, he could have
Candidate,
left last
like,
year if he wanted.
He could have, and he came back for this run specifically. I mean, he could stay again too, because that's the other thing is like someone like Steve Spagnuolo, who like I think was a coach at one point, head coach, but hasn't been for ages and is staying the D coordinator just because like he's content where he's at. You know, he essentially runs the entire defense. He's like a mini head coach. So I mean Ben Johnson, you know, you mentioned Bill Belichick. Like he's the GOAT or one of the GOATs, but I just don't. I feel like it's a John Fox rerun. Like we did it with John Fox. John Fox himself was on the way out. Like didn't have his heart in it when he came to us. Our team clearly wasn't ready for like him because he's definitely in a win now mode, and he had Trubisky, who wasn't ready. You know, or going someone with like the leadership style. So like, I don't know. It's tough because like, I think the head coaches that are now succeeding are these specialists. Like
or they're from the Sean McVay, Mike Shanahan tree. They're either specialists or they're coming from that.
Or I mean, D'Amico Ryan's defensive specialist. You know, the Seahawks coach, I can't remember if he was an OC or a DC.
Mike McDonald.
Yeah.
He was DC, I thought.
Yeah, I mean Todd Bowles even like was like a defensive specialist. Like these coaches that like are specialized in something, you're seeing they're having a lot of success in that specific area, but also the entire team. They get good coordinators and stuff like that.
That happened with Robert Saleh. Honestly, they would probably be better off, the Jets, if they kept him, because that defense was really good, and then he's gone, and look what happens to the defense.
Yeah,
good for him though. But
yeah, I mean Saleh, that's another one that could pop up. I'd love him as a D coordinator.
Ooh.
I'd love him to come in on a staff as a D coordinator, because that's the other kind of direction, is like going like an Eagles route where like Sirianni was like is an OC but isn't calling plays. That's Kellen Moore, and they have Vic Fangio calling defense. So Sirianni is like game manager / like leader for the team, like the vision setter, and lets his kind of like OCs handle stuff and gets like super high specialized ones. And that could be a different route that we could go for the Bears, just because it's like, given now that we have this mix of vets and young players, you very clearly need like a leader figure in terms of a head coach, because the locker room's gone. And like, if we're going to bring back Keenan Allen, if we're going to have Jalen Johnson back, like Kevin Byard, like some of these older names, Tremaine Edmonds, like you've got to command respect of them.
Side note, I think you got to let Keenan walk. I understand he's kind of had a good season lately, but I think it's just inhibiting Odunze. But I guess it's speculative. I don't know. But continue.
No, you're right. I mean, if you want like to branch off to that real quick, I mean, yeah, like they play the same spot, or at least like DJ Moore is like more of the Keenan Allen kind of like will take the top off, but more of the route runner, and then Odunze is kind of like the vertical threat, physical receiver. And so with Keenan and DJ kind of like on the outside or getting those like majority reps, yeah, you're right. Odunze isn't getting those looks. And we could use like a good slot guy to come in, like someone like an Isaiah Bond, you know, if we wanted to draft, if we have a good spot. But that might be a little too reaching, because if we have didn't expect to be this shitty this year, so I didn't expect to have such a high draft.
Imagine if you had a guy like Darnell Mooney. I don't know.
Yeah. Which is the funny, which is like the funny thing, like talking about the Bears, it's like very clearly just been that coaching. because there's a reason Poles has his job right now. They've drafted well. Darnell Mooney, Roshan Johnson.
Yeah, they have.
Like even going back, I think maybe like slightly before Poles. I can't remember if he was the David Montgomery draft or not, or if that was Ryan Pace. But like we drafted Montgomery.
DJ Moore trade, elite.
Yeah, I mean that's a
Yeah.
great,
That's
a great trade.
incredible. Yeah.
And then we like shit the bed with like the Chase Claypool trade and the Roquan Smith trade. So like at least has like masked those trades for us. And then I guess like the Darnell Wright draft pick has been like whatever, but like Braxton Jones, HBCU guy, low like fourth or I feel like an even draft number, fourth round or sixth round draft pick. That's now our left tackle. Like we found some gems, but we have not like done well in free agency. Like Kevin Byard, like got Kevin Byard, and why didn't we get Xavier McKinney? Play the same position. Xavier McKinney playing for the Packers is like a much better and younger player.
Is
we're
Bear
paying-
not playing well?
I mean, not even the fact that he's not playing well. It's just he doesn't suit the team. So because if you're going to sign them, let's say you're going to sign them both to a 3-year contract, I'd rather have Xavier McKinney in year 2 of that contract with whatever team I have, like a prime Xavier McKinney with a potentially
Yeah,
like
it's a strong
rising
contract.
Bears team rather
Yeah.
than like potentially regressing Kevin Byard in his like year like 30 whatever season with a potentially rising team where he's maybe getting outplayed by like above average player, where you could have Xavier McKinney, a Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know,
a good
just
point.
like a lot of common sense stuff hasn't been there for the Bears, you know.
So that not only do they not have leadership at the ground level, but polls is not the issue. So they also don't have leadership in the executive level somehow. Chicago doesn't.
Yeah,
Agree with that?
which is crazy because we brought in the old Big Ten commissioner, which
Forgot about that.
ironically now working in college athletics, and being at a collegiate conference. You know what my commissioner does for us, like I can't imagine what the Big Ten commissioner does on a daily basis. I mean, like you see what the speculative news in terms of the SEC and the Big Ten and what they're trying to potentially do in terms of like
What
some
is
sort
that?
of super league for
It's very hush
football.
hush.
And
It is
no,
speculative.
it's not hush hush. It's just they're excluding the other conferences.
Yeah.
So
TBD though, but yeah.
yeah,
That's
but
where it
like
looks like it's
those
headed.
commissioners do a lot, and it's funny. He's come in, and you know, there's been a lot of talk about, did the Bears move their stadium? Are they going to move from Soldier Field to Arlington Park, or I think that's the name of it, or the racetrack? They bought just like in the suburbs of Chicago. They just bought land there. They had like a whole plan to build a stadium and like an economic park, and then they scrapped that, and then now they're going to rebuild and upgrade Soldier Field. And then it's also still on the table that we could go to the other place. So like at the executive level, like you're talking about, Simone, like we don't even have a clear plan in terms of like what our future is in terms of like business development and what our stadium is, because our stadium is very obviously old and needs to be improved, especially if we want to host a Super Bowl. Like it's sad that Chicago is not a habitable city to host a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Chicago's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, I mean, like especially that time, like if it's not like a tundra, but it's like a nice cold or like a nice like snow or whatever, actual like 30s degree snow. It's like a beautiful area to be. So yeah, like we're lost all over the place, and so like that's such a, I think a sad thing, that because like you see Fields like is back up to Russ Wilson right now, and Fields was like 5-1, 5-0 with the Steelers, something like that.
At the beginning. Might have been 5 and
like he's
5-2.
a starter in the NFL. Like Mac Jones is starting for the Jaguars.
Oh God, he was terrible.
Or like
dude.
Malik
Don't
Willis
mention
like
that
started
name on this
games for the
podcast.
Packers. So like
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
like Justin Fields could very easily be our quarterback just as much as like Caleb Williams can, and we just keep squandering talent.
Keep squandering
We
talent.
squandered Roquan
with
Smith.
poor leadership. Yeah, it's a shame.
At least you got Roshan.
I will admit, when I first saw Hard Knocks, I was a believer. I was like, oh, Eberflus might be a good idea. Shane Waldron's team seems like a good fit. Boy, was I jaded.
No, the last two dudes that we've hired, Nagy and Eberflus, like from their introductory press conferences, have just been like goofy ass dudes. And I've just never had a good vibe about them.
Was Adam Gase part of the Chicago squad at some point? That weird dude.
Adam Gase was our offensive coordinator.
Oh God, that's what. Okay, yeah.
I
That
can't
dude was
remember if he was with us when he like did well, and that's how he got the Dolphins job.
Yeah.
That might have been the Trubisky playoff year. The double doink. That might have been double doink. Can't remember. Years are so long. Years blend together this time. Ever since like COVID.
That's
Tough
true.
to
It seems like the
remember
Bears are like a breeding ground for strange coaches. They're just finding all the weird ones.
Yeah, no. It's just, like the last like if you look at the last like three, I mean Nagy makes sense just because it was like that was the Chiefs up and coming, and like everyone was kind of like hiring offensive coordinators, so like
Yeah.
that one's more defendable. But like Eberflus was kind of out of nowhere, especially with Harbaugh still on the table. And the John Fox one, like I remember I was excited for it just because I was like, holy fuck, it's like someone I know. It's not this we had what was it, Tressman fucking before that, the Canadian football guy. Like didn't know
Yikes.
who the hell he was. So like having John Fox, I was just excited to have someone I know.
Missed out
But-
on Dan Quinn too. He seems like a good hire now. Perfect.
Dan
for-
Quinn seems like a great hire. I mean, like that's another one. Defensive specialist, players coach, loved like
Even
by his
perfect.
players. Like they very clearly love to play for him, which is funny because like they play for historically one of the crappiest franchises and one of the crappiest facilities and one of the crappiest areas. So like it's insane that like he gets that team up to go and play. Yeah, no, it's very surprising. I have this issue with like a lot of sports where like you very clearly see the direction things are going, or you see successful trends. Like right now, I think the successful trend is it's not just like dynamic passing offense. It's you have a creative, like adaptable offense that can be, pass heavy or dynamic in the pass game if you need it to, but can also ground and pound. So like the Chiefs, great example.
Yeah.
Offensive.
With Pacheco back, they look like a much better team.
Yeah, the
in my opinion,
Bills,
on
the
ground.
Bills especially when they do Josh Allen QB run,
Lions,
can do that.
Ben Johnson.
The Lions, like keep listening. That's the offense. And then same thing with the teams, except the Bills. I think this is their Achilles heel, but the Lions and Chiefs, right? Not a dominant defense, not a defense that has like it's got a name that you're gonna pop
Opportunistic.
up, but they're scrappy as fuck.
Yep. Yeah, when you have defenses like that, they create so many opportunities for positive plays. Scrappy teams like that. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I mean it's like the same. Like, why is the Chiefs' defense like in the playoffs usually one of maybe like statistically it's not the best, but like to the eye test, why does it usually look like the best defense in the playoffs? And it's just because like
Spags.
they're just scrappy as hell. Like you can't ever say they're soft. Like L'Jarius Sneed, Tyrann Mathieu, like they've got some like poppers in there, that are like guys that'll like chirp and that are like like muck it up. They're not like insanely good, especially at like that point in time for like Tyrann Mathieu in his career, or like they had like Daniel Sorensen was a good player.
Daniel Sorensen, that dude.
That guy was a good player.
Johnny Sins.
But they're these defenses that like the Chiefs, they have Chris Jones, it pops
Well, he is
up.
that good.
Yeah,
but-
no, the
yeah, you're
Lions,
right.
Aiden Hutchinson, but like the rest of the defense is pretty just like rock solid and scrappy. And so
Yeah.
I think that's this current trend, and I think actually it'll probably be a lasting one. Much more than like a 3 or 4 year kind of stint. Because before that was the hot offenses, and then before that was defense wins championships, right? That was the era of like Seahawks, the Broncos, the Pats, Super Bowl, and then once it gets into the kind of Eagles Falcons era and Rams, even though the Pats Rams Super Bowl's weird, but and that's where it's
that
like
was weird. Boring Super Bowl.
offensive like flourish, and then you get into like
Yeah.
Rams Bengals, you get into Eagles Chiefs. They're these like
Call it the McVay era. I feel like he made a huge impact on offensive systems and their way of thinking, and started hiring based on that. This
Mhm.
newfound offensive system, and the league responded offensively.
yeah, and I think this is the next kind of progression is like defenses have now adapted, and now it's not dominant, overwhelming defenses. It's just defenses that are just rock solid. And I think you're also seeing that in college, or at least like for all our alma mater, like UT's defense, like those dudes, they're good. But
Best
like
in the nation.
we graduated first rounders, right? And like second rounders on that defense, and they're just like solid dudes. We got a couple of true freshmen, but they're just rock solid. And that's where I think the defenses are going now, like Chiefs, Eagles, Lions. Like these defenses, they bend, they give up points in these like playoff matches, but like
Yep.
when there's times where they don't break and they pop back, or they get those turnovers, pick sixes, what have you. And that's, I think, something that like you got to take into consideration when you're going into your next hire of like, is it that person that's going to oversee that, or are we going to hire, a coordinator or someone that's going to specialize in that? Because I think you need that now.
Yeah, that's what makes Campbell such a good hire. He came in with the plan to give the team an identity and a resilient group, and it really reflects in the defense, because the defense has won all kinds of games. Something we talked about on this pod before is the Lions defense. Yeah, they give up points, but that defense is still coming up on top when it matters. They're winning the scrappy games. They're winning the tight, low-scoring games. They're winning the high-scoring games, and a lot of that you give credit to Goff in the offense, but it's not going to happen without the defense making plays to give them those opportunities. And I think Campbell, everybody's looking for the next Dan Campbell now. Like, I feel like that's kind of where the league is going. He's kind of showed this is possible by instilling a certain identity. And I think if the Bears get somebody like that, they have the potential, especially with a rookie contract like Caleb, the talent. Offensively, anything can happen, and they have the defensive guns to make it happen. So, man, imagine they have a coach like Dan Campbell come in and establish that identity that team's going to be in the NFC North. Fuck.
I know. I mean,
Yeah,
like
it's
the
brutal.
Vikings could suck too. I mean, they could let Darnold walk, and then McCarthy's their quarterback, and then all of a sudden they suck for the next 5 years. Sorry, I cut you off, Eddie. What were you gonna say, bud?
I didn't say anything. I was just adding to the fact that the North is just freaking group of death. I hear what you're saying about the Vikings. Me and Simone have had some pushback, just like slight disagreement, nothing crazy, about how good they actually are. But we always land on like the fact that O'Connell is borderline elite. So even though I'm not the biggest JJ McCarthy guy, but with O'Connell and with Jefferson, I don't know. I don't see them being like a cakewalk anytime soon either. And with Brian Flores, who's also elite.
And that would be
Brian,
that'd be another
he's-
coach I'd be excited for.
Yeah,
actually.
that'd be a
Yeah,
good
even
hire.
though it went poorly in Miami, because he comes off as a guy that wants to come in and establish an identity. It didn't work in Miami. Maybe it's because it's fucking Miami. It can't be done in Miami. But he had a chance, and I thought it was going to work out well, because he is a defensive savant, as you can see in Minnesota. But I'm skeptical that he has the charisma like Campbell does to go in and do the same thing or something similar.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some concerning things that like he lost the locker room or he lost Tua. But I, as much as I love Tua and think he's a good guy, I actually, I wonder how much of a diva element there is to Tua.
Oh
Um,
wow,
I
I
think
Okay.
I
I
think he's a
like hearing
slight.
that.
I think I think he's a bit of a slight diva, especially
Oh,
with like he's so shrugging off of like the concussion stuff. It's like dog, like you got to acknowledge it a little bit. You're like, hey, my brain's
yeah.
scrambled just a teeny bit.
It
Like
is a bit of an
Kane is
ego move
ready.
to continue playing.
Like there's no shot that like the reporter that asked him, he's like, did you consider retiring like at all? And he was like, no, not once. It's like no shot, no
Yeah.
shot.
Nobody believed that.
I got minor shoulder surgery, and I thought I was gonna never use my arm for the rest of my life, let alone throw a ball.
I remember that. I remember
Um,
that. You were so we all got
uh,
there, but it's funny.
so I've heard concerning things about Flores, but on the flip side, I'm a little bit biased, just having gone through, ironically, like academically, like as his situation happened. I was going through my master's program, so like it was very topical for us, especially when we have like law classes and DEI classes, and like very much intersection of like all of those things for him. So like, and everything I've heard and read, like he got like the short end of the stick real bad. And he has a very like legitimate case of discrimination.
Oh yeah.
And like I think any coach, or like he definitely has a case like for when he was like brought in. I forgot what coaching job it was. New York, New York, and then Bill Belichick like fucked up the text or whatever.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
remember that. That was such a
yeah,
weird
like
situation.
the Rooney Rule is such a sham rule. It's very clearly just been like put in there. I don't know what the solution is. I don't want to go off into that subject, but like
Yeah,
it's very clearly doesn't work. And so like he got fucked over, and like everything like for him, like I don't know. I root for him. I think the Vikings defense has very clearly been bad the last half decade. Um, and now all of a sudden they kind of look like the Vikings defense of old, or at least they can hold it together. They're winning close games. Their defense is, keeping points off the board. And I like to think it's a result of him and what he's doing. And how much is Kevin O'Connell coming in there and telling him what to do defensively, and how much of it is Brian Flores. So I don't know. I'd be excited for him. I don't know. Any I don't know. I just want a clear leader that's done it, and
Yeah, you'll take anybody at this point, right? That's different.
anybody with a pulse.
I'll take Adam Gase at this point. He's a
No,
legit.
you don't mean that. Oh my god. That dude is a psychopath, I think.
I'll say, as you both know, like there are some guys where they're just better suited for the coordinator position, and that's not like a bad thing. I'm not saying Flores is one of those. I don't really know. I think you have to know the person on like a personal basis. But I was thinking like from last offseason's head coaching hires, just as like a point of reference, because you were talking about the archetypes of like leader versus specialist, and I immediately thought about Brian Callahan in Tennessee,
Hmm.
who I've always
Yeah.
liked, and I thought he was a good hire when it happened, especially with like a young QB in Levis. But every time I've watched Tennessee for the most part this season, it seems like he's kind of in over his head, even if he does have that offensive prowess, which maybe he doesn't even, because like I think Zach Taylor was calling the plays in Cincinnati. But I don't know. I was kind of thought you would come in here and like clamor for Ben Johnson and no one else, to be honest. But
I mean, like, I don't want to sound like I don't want to not like sound so close minded on it, but I think to your point, it's just a no brainer. So
it is,
like
yeah.
the Sean McVay hire, like in retrospect now, but like the Shanahan, like the guys where it's like very clearly like Shanahan revitalized Matt Ryan and got them to a Super Bowl. Like that was Shanahan.
Right.
Like what McVay was doing with the football team, the Washington football team at the time that earned him that. Um, you know, these coaches that have earned it, O'Connell, like Stefanski and Cleveland, even like they've been no brainers, and they've for the most part worked out. But like these ones where it's like the Zach Taylor, you know, the Callahan, you know, even the Panthers guy, like
Canales.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, they were like pretty good offenses or whatever. Like you could give him credit in Tampa Bay with what he was able to do with Baker, but like they haven't been like, I don't know. If I told you those like that was going to be your next coach, any of those guys I just named, would you just be like, cool, or like I know that? But like if that versus like you know a Shanahan, McVay, a Ben Johnson, right? Like you immediately are like, yeah, no, that makes sense. And then like Ben Johnson doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, like a great leader. As long as he brings in he brings in great coordinators or a great group around him. I mean, like a name that jumps out for me. I don't think he'd be good because I think he's suited for college, but like someone of this ilk of like a Steve Sarkisian, honestly.
Dude, I was just about to ask you how would you feel if somebody
your
from
mouth.
the Texas system came over?
Shut your mouth.
Steve.
I don't want no. He's not Eddie. He's not.
Get
leaving.
out. Get out.
He's not.
Get out.
He's not leaving. Don't worry. Literally,
No, I know.
he's
I know
set.
he's
He's
not.
set. He's like you're talking about roles. Like he's very like him, Lane Kiffin, like very clearly people that are meant for college, and should not like move on. Like I just can't imagine Sark like talking to grown men.
I agree.
And I don't think he'll find the same like fulfillment, especially with like everything he's gone through in his life. How would I feel? I mean, I'd love it. I love Sark. Like if it happened,
Wow.
like I'd be optimistic for it, obviously. I just don't think it's
Even
the
if
right
he
thing.
left our team.
Oh, I mean,
That's
because
disgusting.
we'd go out and get like what? You don't think Marcus Freeman's gonna come over here? You
I don't
think we're
want
gonna
Marcus Freeman.
get Lane Kiffin? You don't think we can get Lane Kiffin? If this is a
I'm
fun
not
game,
gonna
though.
entertain the
This
thought.
is
No, I'm not
that is
gonna.
an interesting question of who would you want if he like
Kirby Smart.
disappeared.
Dabo Sweeney.
There you go.
No,
Actually, no, not that.
absolutely
Not that.
not. What about Kwiatkowski? What if
I've
you
heard
win
that he
internal?
doesn't want to be a head coach.
Oh, is that
So
why
I
he's
don't
sticking
know.
around? Thank
That's-
God. I'll
that-
pay.
that-
We'll pay
I mean-
him just as much as any other coach. To
That's
keep
what
the-
r/Longhorn Nation thinks, which I guess is not the most trustworthy source.
You never know. I mean, what Elko?
Oh God, let's not. Why did you bring that up? Well,
Why?
Is there anything else
I
on
could
the
shit on
Bears?
him. Elko? No, I was making fun of him. I don't want Elko. It's
I
very
don't.
clear
I
why I
obviously
don't
don't want
Elko.
Elko. Yeah.
Hey, how far do you think Texas is going to go this year?
Okay, so it's very. It depends on what side of the bracket they get and how these rankings shake out. Because the one thing that has popped out from the rankings, and now it's all fucked up because Ohio State lost.
Yeah.
But it was going to be very clear, I think, if Ohio State ran the table, lost to Oregon, they were still going to be the 5 seed. So whoever like got the 1 and was going to be on the 5 seed side was going to be kind of fucked at some point because Ohio State was over there. But it might have been weaker. There might have been weaker people. I've seen the bottom be a gauntlet where it's like Penn State, Alabama, Texas, Miami, like everyone on the same side. I think it comes down to just which side of the bracket they're on, because their quarterfinal game could just honestly be like a semifinal game. Like their quarterfinal game could like randomly be Penn State, if Penn State doesn't beat Oregon, and they just end up on that same side, which is like that is not an easy game.
You think we're gonna lose to Georgia again?
This Georgia is not playing well. They got beat up by Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
Carson Beck is
super close game.
ass.
Yeah, they were 7-5 this year.
Yeah, I think our defense is playing so lights out that we can hang with them. I think it's been very clear the last 2 or 3 games. It's up to Quinn.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not even his ankle.
Yeah.
I don't like anyone that
It's
says like
not.
his ankle was fucking with him. Very clearly wasn't. he needs to stop doing dumbass bullshit. Sorry to be so vulgar. Like literally,
Couldn't have said it
like
better myself.
the pick six that he threw, like I know it got tipped, but it was like
Still.
in what world was he
Why
gonna
would you do that?
sidearm that bitch in there?
Yeah.
None. And then the fumble was just like, dog, what are you doing? Like, you know you're not supposed to be out there. So why are you doing so free with it, having the ball out? So I don't know. It's up to Quinn. And he's looked like a deer in headlights a little bit the last couple of weeks. And I'm concerned about our second half. Like the fact that we can't score. Granted, we got into the red zone twice and just turned the ball over. So
That was so bad. I hated that so fucking much.
yeah, so like that's tough. And our run game scares me a little bit. Like I love Trey. Blue is like I think very clearly the more dynamic back.
Yes.
Even though
I
Trey
agree.
looked great. Trey looked
The
insane
thing
this
is,
game.
Blue has a legit fumbling problem. So if it
Yes,
wasn't
so
for
that was my follow up.
Right,
Like
yeah.
Blue literally I don't trust him anymore. Like the fact that he's fumbled so much this season and he is as talented as he is. I don't know. That's my concern is like, can the run game keep up? And what is Quinn doing? Because it's like, it's upsetting to see Arch Manning come in, run a QB power, and have so much more swagger on like
Dude.
one rush, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
much more confidence than
He is
Big
dripping
Quinn.
from the nose. His snarl. Oh my gosh, that was so perfect. That's when I knew we were going to win the game. Is when
Bro,
he
he's
said,
from the streets of Louisiana.
That's
He
what it
is not.
seems like.
He is not a preppy ass kid.
he's a big dude, and he's like so athletic.
Have you seen him
what-
in person? Is he actually big?
I mean,
Because
I haven't seen him
he's
up
6'4".
close. I've seen
He's
him
like
on the
six-
sidelines. He's
It's
big.
huge.
He's pretty big.
My sister, who goes to UT and walks around campus, says he's small. And my sister's like 5'8", 5'9".
Oh,
No way.
I don't know why. She also has. I'm exposing my sister now, but she has a bit of a crush on him because she's always just like she's
Yeah.
negging him all the time. She's like, he's
That's
such a goober. He's so short.
She subconsciously.
That's what I
Wants
told
to-
her. She's like, I find him fascinating. I was like, all right, well, there you go.
all right. So if Texas beats Georgia,
Yeah.
then number one season play, which
I
would mean
think-
we're on the right side of the bracket.
I think my prediction is I'm not gonna bet against the Horns. I think Texas beats Georgia. I think we're the hotter team. Just we're in a weird spot where it's on our quarterback. Whereas like Georgia, I don't think it's on their quarterback. I think it's on their team as a whole to like kind of keep it together.
It's on their receivers, if anything.
Yeah, that
They-
too. Yeah, they Arian Smith, like those two drops, if you were watching that game at all, were killer. I think Texas wins. I think they get the 2 seed. If they're on I think they win the quarterfinal round and then semifinal. It just kind of depends on what side of the bracket. I think this team's ceiling is runner up. I'm gonna be honest.
Wow. Okay.
I think
How dare
the
you.
defense is championship cal. Look, I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest here. The championship is the best, or the defense is the best defense in the country. It's definitely a championship caliber defense. I just don't know if this run game can keep up as you start to play more talented teams. So like when I watch Oregon, like Oregon's played
it's-
cupcakes all year, but
Yeah, they're going to lose to Penn State. That's why I think they're going to get
Really?
our Horns are going to get the one.
oh,
That's bold.
would Penn State? Do you don't think Penn State would get the one? Beating the one team that
Yeah,
has the
I
number of losses.
I don't
as
think
us?
they would do that. Because
Yeah.
Penn State, I'm not super familiar.
I
with their
think they
schedule, but
would.
They
Same
looked
number of losses. Horns
Nah.
don't have that many number ones or
If we
the ranked wins. I could see the committee doing.
If
some
we
fuck
beat
shit like that.
Georgia, I think the committee will value that at least as good as a win over Oregon.
Yeah, well,
I
it'll
think we would
depend.
take it.
It'll depend what the rankings are tomorrow, where they value
Yeah.
Georgia at,
Yeah.
because that'll kind of set what this game looks like for us. Because the Oregon game is going to be a one a 1-3 game. Because Penn State is been number 4 behind us, and Ohio
Yeah.
State's consistently been 2. So theoretically, we're all going to bump up 1. No, I think we're going to be a runner up, unfortunately, which is it sucks because I don't know if this defense will be as good as it is next year, and I think the offense is going to be actually insane. Very clearly, because like when you look at the left tackle, like when you see Kelvin Banks like go out and Gooseby come in, and just it's not a problem. Like not once did they mention it during the game. Like, oh man, they're not attacking the redshirt freshman. Like, dude's 6'7", 3 something. So when you see that, like and we have Arch next year, like I'm very excited. I'm worried about the defense being lined up, but I just don't know if the Texas run game can keep up. And Quinn scares me. He's not showing.
Yeah.
There, it's at no point have I ever been on the train of Arch over Quinn, even like when Quinn went out with the injury. But now that
I have,
yeah, I Quinn had earned my respect to not lean that way. But it's sad when I'm in the A&M game, I see that power run, and like you see the opening or the second half kind of open, and you're like, should Arch get back in here?
Dude, Eddie, what did we talk about? Dude, what was it? A month after the Georgia game?
Yeah, it was after the Georgia
We were
game.
talking about the possible situation with this A&M game, and I was surprised. I was honestly surprised that Arch didn't go in because we were talking about how that's probably going to happen 5 weeks from now at that time, and I was disappointed not to see Arch come in because I feel like it would have weirdly brought in the team up a level. Like overall, people would have seen that because they know Arch has got that swagger, and they're like, oh, they would probably respond to like, oh shit, we're doing this now, like it's live. So
they need Shiesty Quinn. Like when Quinn wears a Shiesty, and like during Michigan, or like not last year's Oklahoma, I think it was the year before.
49-0.
Yeah. Oh no, it was that year before. Yeah, it's been back to back for us. I forget. Yeah, like he was swag the fuck out in both of those games. Like in his cockiness and like how he like handled himself on sideline. It's when it jumps out. Like I have not seen it since. And that's when he plays electric when he's doing that.
I think. Well, first of all, I think we mostly agree, all three of us, on like Quinn is ultimately going to be the deciding factor. I'll speak for myself only. I never was fully sold on Quinn. Like I appreciate all he's done, and I recognize like he's ultimately the quarterback that got us out of the dumps, and so he's always going to have my respect. But I also think our program and our team has like simultaneously undergone like a huge glow up. So I don't think it was ever just Quinn. I think Sark has been like the main man if you want to point to one guy. And I also just think like we happen to have potentially number 1 overall pick as our backup quarterback. So I would like to use that. And this year specifically, like Quinn, never have I ever been less confident in Quinn. Like the Georgia game was really bad. That's probably his worst game for us. And then I didn't feel any better after the Vanderbilt game. I thought he looked shaken, scared, slow, small, etc. And then the A&M game, I was actually surprised in the first half that he did look really good, and that he was like actually maneuvering the pocket some and looking downfield. Yeah. And then the second half, it just stalled out. So definitely hard to trust. But
and also I like the play calling. I think he just like it's something Sark does sometimes where it's like, oh, we're getting like 7 yards of carry. Let's like run it on first down and then do like 3 straight passes and go fourth down. It's like, you don't want to give it right back to our running back, or at least they do. They're like, let's do 3 rushes straight in a row, and the third one gets stuffed. And it's like, okay, now we're in second and long because like the first one went second and 3, get the first down, now we're going straight into another one,
Yeah.
second and long.
That reminds me, it feels very like reactionary when it comes to the play calling with Steve. And that's an X factor as well, in addition to Quinn going into the CFP.
Yeah, to your point, Eddie, he's a .99 5-star, and I've never seen him play like it.
But I've seen Arch play like it.
Yeah. He's played with the swagger of it.
Yeah, but to me, that is worth something, you know? Maybe.
Oh, absolutely, especially in college.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick question: who's y'all's Heisman?
Oh, it's Travis Hunter.
Hasty.
For me.
Who is
Hasty.
it? Simone?
Jermichael Hasty.
Jermichael Hasty.
Do you mean Genty?
Genty. Sorry.
Jermichael Hasty.
That's who I thought.
In the NFL.
That's what I thought you were talking about. He's the Baylor running back from, right?
Jermichael Hasty. I thought. I don't. He's not Oregon.
Genty.
I thought he went to Baylor.
Genty. I knew you'd pick Genty. I knew Simone was.
Yeah, I also thought you would do that.
Wow. No, it speaks to I just like everything about him, and like Simone, I know your train of thought is like, dude, he does all the hard shit and no one sees. Like, he definitely deserves it.
His stats are looking much better than Derrick Henry's or all the other running backs that won Heisman's.
He's legit. For me. He's incredible. But I have a soft spot for Travis. What about you, Tate?
I think it's Hunter. I it's not the biggest statistic is the fact that he plays like 100-something snaps.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's ridiculous.
I think that's I think Genty's very clearly having the better statistical season and like does pass the eye test in terms of like a Heisman player, but we had never seen this before since like Darren Woodson, and like Woodson I don't think was necessarily to this level.
Yeah.
It's like I think Hunter's the number one pick.
Assuming it's not QB, yeah, I think it has to be Hunter, right? Who else would you take? I don't think.
I mean, unless one of these quarterbacks knocks your socks off, which I don't think any of them really do.
I don't think so.
Especially if you're like, let's say you're the Giants at number one. Like, let's say they get the one pick. Like, would you rather Hunter and like next year, like potentially draft Arch?
Oh, you know what? Maybe some team will mess it up because the Giants feel like, especially after watching their hard knocks, like they're locked in on a quarterback for better or worse, which this year that's a really bad spot to be in, right? I don't know. But I would definitely take Hunter 101.
Take Hunter, play him at cornerback?
I'd play him at receiver. I think he'll be elite either way. I know he said publicly he wants to play both ways. I don't expect that to happen. Right. That's
I think if he ever does, I think he's a slot corner, like a nickel dime package guy.
Yeah, he's kind of skinny. Down. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he's skinny. He's quick enough to keep up with
Yeah,
like a Darnell Mooney.
Right. I think he could be a number one receiver, honestly, on a team like a really, I don't know, cracked up Lad McConkey. Just constantly getting open, but better.
Man, good for Lad. Already getting comps.
Lad is great. Lad is awesome.
He is.
Ladarius, you mean?
Right. I forgot it was short for that.
All right, boys. Let's move on.
Yes, sir.
Can you believe it's already been an hour? So, Tate, we want to play a game with you, bud. Who wants to be a millionaire? Football version.
I'm in. As long as, do you guys need my direct deposit, like my banking account stuff, or?
We'll get that after the show. I'm glad you asked though.
Okay, good.
The way this is going to work, 5 questions. All right. All progressing in difficulty. You'll get 2 lifelines. All right. One of them's 50-50 and the other is phone a friend. Your friend is going to be Eddie.
Good. He already is. He's been.
At your service.
Right on. Well, it's going to be straightforward, man. I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to give you the choices. And then we'll just, whatever amount of time. Not going to make it super.
I'll be quick
strict.
with it.
Yeah, you're going to know the answers right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're going to do well with these questions. What do you think, Eddie? How do you think he's going to do?
I think
seen the
he's gonna.
questions.
Yeah, I'm looking at him now. I think he's gonna knock him out of the park, to be honest. But I say that.
Ooh.
Some high expectations here.
Well, tonight you're like, I don't know, you're on fire. You're name dropping and fact dropping things that I'm having to Google. So I'm impressed.
I just hear shit and remember it. That's all.
Yeah.
Just
Eddie.
regurgitate talking points.
That's actually kind of how I function. Eddie,
That's normal.
I put 2 questions for question 5. I realized we didn't decide. Which one should we go with? The second one?
Oh,
The new one?
Yeah, the new one, in my opinion.
All right. Question 1. Feel free to plug in your beatbox music for the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Eddie.
Okay.
Question 1. Which of these players is the only player in NFL history to complete a TD pass, TD run, and a TD reception without a reception? Is it Josh Allen, Walter Payton, LaDainian Tomlinson, or Taysom Hill?
That's a good one. I know it's Josh. They said on the broadcast last night that he gets the receiving touchdown, but he does actually get the reception for it. You had me there with Taysom Hill. I actually thought you were going to throw Mariota in there too, because I actually was surprised Mariota wasn't on that list and that Josh is the only one in history. Because Mariota had that one where he like got batted down and then he caught it.
They mentioned that on the broadcast too, I think. Maybe. Or I heard it somewhere. But yeah, that's right.
All right. Yeah, that's correct. Josh Allen's correct. Fun fact, there's actually been 14 players in NFL history that have caught a touchdown, thrown a touchdown, and received a touchdown in a game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the only one to do it without an actual reception.
Got it. Okay, I got it.
It was because of the lateral, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. There's a funny little mic'd up moment where they're deciding like, hey, what was that? I don't know. A rushing touchdown? All right, question 2. Who is the current leader in passing yards in a career? Is it Brett Favre, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, or Tom Brady?
I would not get this.
In their career. I think it's Brady. I think he's got everything. I know Breeze was very close. No, wait a second. Wait, who retired first? Was it Breeze or was it fucking Brady that retired?
You've got 2 lifelines.
Oh no. Oh man. Brady retired 2 years ago. Breeze. Yeah, no, it's Brady.
Final answer?
Yeah.
That's correct. It is Tom Brady. I actually put the top 4 leaders in passing yards in just in a different order. Brett Favre was number 4. Brady number 1. Breeze number 2. Peyton Manning number 3. All right, right on. Okay, question 3. These NFL players have played another professional sport at the same time as their NFL career, before their NFL career has ended, except for this player. But the options are Bo Jackson, Ray Edwards, Deion Sanders, or Tim Tebow. These NFL players played another professional sport before their NFL career ended, except Bo Jackson, Ray Edwards, Deion Sanders, Tim Tebow.
I feel like I know it, but
Ooh.
I've got the lifelines. Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. Let's see. It's Tim Tebow. Final answer.
Oh, final answer? Woo!
Yeah.
That's correct. Damn, that was thrilling. Well done, sir. It is Team Tebow.
Good job.
Barely
He
too.
played, but it was after his career, correct?
Yeah, his final game in the NFL was with the Jets in 2015. Then he hit a home run for the Mets in 2016.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
I didn't know that was 2016. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Trump was president. Now it's about to happen again.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
returning. Is Tebow going to come back and play baseball?
He's got to complete the circle. All right, congratulations. You made it to the final two questions with both your lifelines. Well played strategically. All right, question 4. In the NFL, ineligible receivers must have at least part of their body no more than how many yards beyond the line of scrimmage when a pass is thrown, unless they are engaged in a continuous block that began prior to leaving this yard line zone. Is it half a yard, 1 yard, 1.5 yards, or 2 yards?
It's 1 yards. Final answer.
Final answer?
Yeah.
That's correct. It is 1 yard.
Yep.
I
Yep.
put this question in there because there are commentators like Chris Collinsworth that continuously kept saying 1.5 yards. And I ended up looking the rule up. And I was like, that's not right. And it is indeed 1 yard.
Nope. I remember this weekend I was watching the Texas game. I think they ran a screen. The guy I was watching with was like, "There's no way that's 1 yard downfield." I was like, "Nope, it's only 1 yard. That's how screens work."
Fun fact, in the NCAA, it's 3 yards.
Oh, interesting.
That
Okay.
makes sense, actually. I definitely thought it was more than one, but I think I just watched more college.
Huh, I didn't
All right.
notice that. Maybe that's why that screen. Okay.
$1 million question. The 2009 Patriots had the largest discrepancy in passing yards in a game between two teams in NFL history. The Patriots had 432 passing yards. The other team had -7 passing yards. Who was that NFL team? Was it the Browns, the Jets, the Titans, or the Bills?
Okay, so let me reason this out here. 2009, Mark Sanchez era of the Jets, I think. I don't know if they were that terrible at that point. I feel like that's Mark Sanchez era. The Bills, I can't remember. This is EJ Manuel territory. I just can't remember if it's before or after. They had terrible quarterback play too, but I don't know if it's them. 2009. And then the Titans. I can't remember if Vince Young was still playing for them at this point, or this is like Jake Lalome. No, not Jake Lalome. Who am I thinking of? Locker, maybe?
Locker. You're thinking of Locker.
Probably
Or
Locker
Mettenberger.
era. And who was that? What was the other one?
The Bills.
Oh, Bills, Jets. Okay, Bills, Jets, Titans.
Browns, Jets, Titans, Bills. You can use both your lifelines for this question if you want.
Okay. Well, let me 50-50 it first.
Okay. All right. I'm going to 50-50 it by taking away the first two options.
That's
so
fine.
your options are either the Titans or the Bills.
Fuck. Okay. My thought process here is I don't think the Titans were that bad back then, because like that's back when like the AFC South was like all kind of garbage. Like with the Texans, the like they all like cannibalized each other. I don't feel like they were that terrible. And the Patriots have always owned the Bills. 2009 was the 16-0 season, I think, because 08 or 07 was the Brady ACL year. Eddie, do you want me to call you?
No, I can't help it. Sorry. I'm also like reacting to the game, so it might look like I'm thinking really hard. But I'm actually
is
just
it
watching
is
the
it
game.
popping off here? I'll get you boys out of here quick. Okay, Bills final answer.
No, you're good.
Final answer, the Bills.
Bills.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. It's the Titans.
Damn.
Oh,
I agree with the logic. This made
Who was the
sense.
Bills quarterback then? Was it EJ?
I don't know. Man,
2009. Oh, I never finished looking up that Chargers head coach thing.
man, you set yourself up so well. I thought you were going to do this. You used both lifelines for the final.
Didn't want to use either one of them. I was thinking the Bills from the start. The Jets I thought were too good at that point. And then the Browns, honestly, actually were probably, I would have maybe leaned Browns actually, because I don't even know who the hell played quarterback for him. Oh wait, is that Colt McCoy era? No.
No, it's right before that.
He was drafted that year. Because that's the 09 national championship year when he got hurt, and then he got drafted by the Browns that year. He didn't.
That wasn't the Brandon Whedon era, was it?
No,
it's
Whedon's
well before
after.
that.
Yeah. That was, I don't know who they had. Oh, that was Brady Quinn still.
Oh, Brady Quinn.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Oh fuck! I missed out on $1 million.
You're so close. You want to hear for shits and giggles? We had another question, but Eddie outlawed it because he thought it was too easy.
Too easy. Let's see.
It's too topical.
All right.
Topical.
For shits and giggles, in 2014, which team did not throw a touchdown to a wide receiver during the entirety of the 2014-2015 season? Jaguars, Bears, Chiefs, or Browns?
He's looking it up on his phone.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm obviously kidding.
No, I'm playing with 2 wristbands here.
Okay.
So yeah, so
I didn't actually think you were cheating.
Yeah, look, check my browser out. Look, see? Oh wait. You can't.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
You're overcompensating.
Exam
You're losing me.
Damn. Okay, so I feel like the Chiefs are one of the potentials. You said Jags. I don't think it's the Jags. This is Bortles. Bortles.
That
cooking.
is Bortles. Yeah.
Bortles cooking. Was it Chiefs, Jags,
Bears, Browns.
Browns?
Was it the Bears?
Browns most definitely threw a pass to a wide receiver. They definitely did, because that's like Menzel era, I think, ish. They at least like played well. No, wait. When was Myles Garrett drafted? Myles Garrett was 2015. That was the shitty Browns. Browns final answer?
That is incorrect. It was the Chiefs.
Fuck, I knew it. I knew that.
Yeah.
That was one of those fucking niche ones. I knew it.
That's why I outlawed
It was
it.
one of those weird ones where like Alex Smith never throws to his fucking wide receivers. He only throws to tight ends.
Yep.
God dang it. Oh, I let the shitty
Congratulations,
Browns
you lost
in
twice.
drafting Myles Garrett trick me into thinking that they didn't score a touchdown.
That was a good effort.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, great effort. You're
Thank
perfect. Well, you weren't perfect.
you.
Hey, what's your favorite saying?
What was that?
What's your favorite saying?
My favorite
I need to
saying?
hear it.
Do you want to hear
Yeah.
the it's not a perfect game? Yeah. It isn't.
Okay.
It most definitely isn't.
All right. So we got to wrap up the pod. And we like to wrap up our pods with our corners, what's going on in our lives. So I'm going to start with Eddie. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
please take the floor.
Okay, well, mine is sort of related to what I talked about last week. So, for reference, Tate, last week my corner was just about something I was going to commit to doing again uh, as a hobby, which I lost over the last year-ish, and that's bouldering. I say rock climbing a lot, but it's not really rock climbing. It's just like going to the gym and bouldering. But I didn't do it, unfortunately. So I'm not a man of my word, although I am going to get out there hopefully this week. And the reason I didn't was partly because Thanksgiving, not really at all, because I knew that was happening. It was because we got our first snow, like a real snowstorm. And me being the Texan that I am,
Hell yeah.
maybe got a little bit spooked of that, even though it probably would have been fine. Because, so I don't know if we even mentioned this tape, but I moved to Detroit. I live in Detroit now with my
I was just
girlfriend.
about to ask, where you at, bud? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. So I guess not that far from Philly, but anyway, as you know, they're much better about infrastructure here, right? At least when it comes to like cold weather. So that we saw the salting trucks; they come by every few hours and like do a really good job. So the main roads especially are like fine, but we live in like a a neighborhood of like what's it called, single family homes. I don't know.
Townhouse?
They're not apartments. They're not townhouse. They're like houses. But we live off of an alley, and so the alley did not get salted. So it was a little thick and icy, and my car is like kind of a shitty sedan, so I was a little spooked by it. But it's already like melting the snow, so I'm hopeful to get out there this week. And also, it was just cozy. It was Thanksgiving weekend. I wanted to watch all the football and drink some coffee with my dogs and my girlfriend and my cats. So yeah, I did that instead. But I don't know. Basically, snow is cool. Texas sucks at everything except for making
Wow, how dare
good
you?
universities in Austin and good football teams in Austin, but not good for anything else. Oh, and there's good people there too. And then that's it.
Nice. All right. I appreciate that. That was fun. Tate, do you want to go or I can go next?
Yeah, no, I can go. Funny, Eddie, that you mentioned bouldering. I was just telling someone about the bag that you gave me. That I
The
unfortunately
chalk
don't have it.
bag.
Yeah, I don't unfortunately don't have it anymore. But
Yeah,
I
what
was
happened
telling,
to that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's say that it got lost in a grand adventure, so
Okay.
I don't feel as bad for losing the nice
That's a
bag
fun
that
way
you
of
gave
putting
me.
That's acceptable.
um, I was telling someone about that story, and they actually gave me some chalk to use for me. So actually, I'm going to use it at CCI here. Yeah, no, my corner. Obviously, Thanksgiving, spending time watching football, hung out with some friends, both down in Philly. My Taiwanese friends I know from grad school, and then my best bud Jacob up here. And then I know you guys said you talked about stuff for consuming. I've been bumping the fuck out of Kendrick Lamar's K Dot, his new album GNX. Highly recommend if you haven't
man.
listened. It's so repeatable. It's one of the few like rap albums where I just can't like stop listening to it just because like not only is it catchy, but the beats are just like so much fun, and it gets like it's nice to have like an album where like you have like a West Coast bop like TV off, and then you go like into a song like Gloria, and you're like, holy shit, there's a lot of depth to this.
Man's an artist,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention he shat on Drake, which is like hilarious as
Yeah,
hell.
everybody loves that.
Icon.
But yeah, that's my corner. Thank you guys. And
Right
and
on,
my
man.
other corner is you guys having me on. This is great. Good to see my buds.
Fuck
Glad
yeah.
you're here, man. Simone?
Yeah, yeah. I'll cap it off with Thanksgiving. It's there in Houston, your old stomping grounds, Tate. Visiting my mom, and I told Eddie about this a few weeks ago, but I'm adopting a cat, and this cat is staying at my mom's, so I got to hang out with Jax. His full name actually is
He's a Maine Coon.
He's a Maine Coon. He's 25 pounds. He's huge.
Holy crap!
Yeah. His full name is Jackson Marius Tachyratrix Flaxen Waxen.
Did you come up with that, or is that the adopted?
That sounds like news to me.
Is that the birth name?
It is his government name.
His government name?
Jackson Marius Tachyratrix Flaxen Waxen. I partially came up with it.
Flaxen
Partially stole
Waxen.
it from Key and Peele's football.
I was gonna say it sounds like a Key and Peele, Doritos Locos Taco, Jackson Johnson.
Construction noises.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dingle McCringleberry.
Yeah, that's it. Anyways, yeah, Jack's staying with my mom. Hasn't met my dog yet. So I brought Fenrir to the house. So this cat is super confident. So it did not matter, man, because for Fenrir, he comes in, he's like, yeah, I'm a dog. I'm gonna do dog things. And Jack's like, dude, I don't care. Like, I still own this house. So he still commanded the space and kept giving Fenrir like the stare down. So every time that happened, Fen would be like, oh, wait a minute, I hate that. And then kind of like tense up a little bit and like kind of like start acting like he needs to defend himself because Jax is just like, staring holes through him. And it was like that all weekend. For the most part, they were still like occupying the same space. So it was like overall, Jax is going to be a good fit in the house. But yeah, I spent the whole weekend just hanging out with a really dope cat, really confident cat, fucking huge, really fun. And Fen got to meet him, so that was fun. And the finale to the story is, I thought like I thought the weekend went well, and for the most part, I was doing everything I could to keep Fenrir and Jax in the same space. So anytime we ate dinner, I would bring the bed that Fenrir sleeps in to the dining area, and we'd all eat together. And then Jax he likes to jump. He's a really athletic cat, so he's propped himself up on top of like china cabinets or whatever, and he's just watching down on all of us because he's essentially a tiger, Mufasa. So
He's
a
tiger. That's what he is.
Yeah, man. Well, little did I know, I was trying to get Fenrir to stay on the fucking bed, but he was weirdly like, he loves his bed. He hangs out on his bed all the time, but for some reason this weekend he wouldn't do it. He was just being weird. He's like, no, I don't want to lay in that bed. I'm like, why? Like, you love that bed. Well, when I got home Sunday, I found out like I was moving my stuff out of the car and back home. There was pee all over the bed. And I'm like, Ben's never had an accident. So I'm like, oh, fucking Jax. I know what he's doing. He established dominance. Well done, Jack. I was kind of proud. I was like, that makes a lot more sense for Ben to not be interested in staying on it. He was probably like, dude, that monster peed on it. I don't want to do it.
The beast.
But yeah, overall, it was fun, and we're looking forward to bringing Jax into the house, into his new home.
Did they look like they're going to be friends eventually?
Yeah. I think they even bumped noses and kissed each other once. So there's definitely a lot of potential.
That's cute.
That's exciting.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's my corner on that. That's the pod, dude. Tate, thanks for coming, man. It was great having you.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you guys
You
so much. I appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun. We'll have to bring you on another time and have you play again, have some redemption.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I need some redemption.
All right, man. Well, thank you, listeners, for listening, and until next Monday.
Peace.
Vaya con Dios.
Why does the outro have to be so dramatic? Like, why can't it just cut off?